ABC Sport. AFL.
Get set for the deafening roar. The pent-up emotion is about to flow.
Listen to the crowd roar.
AFL.
Fans are on their feet. Can't believe what they're about to see.
The 2021 AFL Premiership Season.
Grandstand AFL.
We got a game on our hands here. This is really good, fierce stuff.
This is a fantastic game of football. If someone told me there was something wrong with our game, I can't see it today. Actually, it's a spectacular contest.
Don't go anywhere. The theatre of it all. And he dribbles one through and blows a kiss to the crowd.
A new day beginning. Breaks the pace. Has a shot. Makes no mistake.
Sends it for home. It's a blind strike. Hard against the boundary. That's the glassy finish.
That is sensational.
Can he slot it through for the finish? Yes, he can.
Right angle on the paint of 50. May have just snuffed an incredible goal. Tries to bend off. Got him. Takes him to ground. Backs it out to him. Second don't argue.
Go to your best players. Go to your match winners.
Plays on Mo down from behind. Holding the ball.
Perfect tackle.
It might be a game saver.
Ricochets to Martin. You know the rest. The razzle dazzle has arrived.
That is spectacular.
It's a new day, new day, new day beginning.
On the first kicks the goal. Welcome to the big time.
Oh, the great mark. Outside of the boot, Eddie. Oh,
He has kicked it. Makes no mistake. Goes back.
straightens up towards the goal and brings it back superbly. Is that familiar roar? Double fist salute to the crowd. They might have a new fan favourite. He'll snap. He'll go. A ripper from Gripper. That's off a single step and bounds the through.
Grandstand AFL.
The 2021 AFL Premiership Season.
Dribbles it through and ends the game.
On ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
The final match of round 20 of the AFL sees GWS take on Port Adelaide to shape the top 8. The Giants having moved from New South Wales to Melbourne and then to Queensland, originally set to host this match on the Gold Coast. And for the second consecutive week, Port Adelaide has had a shift in match and time slot. That's AFL footy in season 2021. Meanwhile, the Giants, well, they're in 8th position at the moment. They'll have their eyes on Richmond and Fremantle tonight, with the Tigers potentially able to jump above them with victory if the GWS Giants were to lose this afternoon. But Toby Green is back following a couple of weeks out in isolation. And for Port Adelaide, well, they're inside the top 4. And while their record against top 8 sides hasn't been all that impressive, they were very good against Collingwood last week. So that's the stage for this afternoon, this evening's fixture between GWS and Port Adelaide. There's no late changes, with the Power set to get Orazio Fantasia back in for their lineup. And Toby Green comes in alongside James Peatling on debut for the Giants. Matt Clincher called the action from Docklands in Melbourne tonight. Corbin Bittermass alongside me. You ready to go, Corby? 2 or 2?
I'm absolutely ready, Clinchy, for the last game of this Super Sunday. We've had 5 games today for the first time on a Sunday in AFL VFL history. The equation for GWS is very simple. They'd want to win. If they don't, their only chance of maintaining a place in the top 8 at the end of the weekend is if there's a draw over in Perth in the game between Fremantle and Richmond. So they probably wouldn't want to rely on that happening out west in the game, which is already underway. And plenty in it for Port Adelaide. Last week we saw Butters, Rosie, Dersma all back. Tonight it's Fantasia to come back and join them. So all of a sudden starting to look a little more like Port Adelaide's best 22. And one of their favourite sons, Travis Boak, who turns 33 today, goes past Kane Corns to 301 games for Port Adelaide Power. So he's the games record holder outright, as by the time the ball's bounced in 5 minutes' time.
He certainly is. Brendan Goddard's here for his second game of the afternoon. BJ, welcome. How are you travelling?
Yeah, good start. Yeah, g'day guys. We're good. We had a three-hour stint, didn't we? And or a break, should I say?
Yep.
Went and watched a little bit of footy, funny enough, and it's got a feed down at the pub. It's down on Spencer Street there, so we're ready to go.
Our impact player is Luke Ball this afternoon. Bally, welcome.
Just a perfect day for someone who's got 3 kids under 5 at home, isn't it? Sorry, Dale. I've got to double up, and I can't come home in between. I've got to go and have a feed at the pub and
9 hours
watch some
out.
footy.
You got to put that into context, mate. I've had the kids for 2 weeks by myself.
Okay, mate. I wasn't judging.
Whilst my
I'm
wife
not doubting your parenting credentials. I'm just saying it's worked out okay today. That's
Rosie's been in quarantine, so I've got brownie points, mate.
You're still in the black. Fair enough.
I'm sweet.
Well,
she can't argue with me.
You go out after this as well.
Correct.
Yeah. No, I'm happy to be here. I've had a busy day of parenting, so I'm very happy to be here. And this is going to be a good game. Forget what's happened in the build-up. The modern players are just so good at just dealing with. The mantra is, that just control what you can, and they've both got themselves here, and all of a sudden, as you said, Corb, it's opened up for them both. From Port's point of view, that top four, the door's wide open. And from the Giants' point of view, they can cement themselves in the 8 with the Lions, failing today, and the Eagles, really struggling. So it's a big opportunity.
That'll be 2 points away from 7th spot if GWS are able to win today. So there's a bit on the line for both teams.
Yeah, we watched them last week. They were good against the Bombers. Everyone spoke about the missed opportunity from the Bombers, but really all credit had to go to the Giants, especially in that second half. They went in with a plan and executed it perfectly, and in the end it was their gun midfielders that completely outplayed the Bombers' gun midfielders, really. That's where it was won or lost. Both sides struggled at forward of centre, so they'll need to fix that up today, the Giants, to kick a winning score against a pretty potent Port attack, but their mids are in good form, so that'll really worry the Port midfield today.
They're a hard side to read, the Giants. Obviously lost to Hawthorn when they were fighting to get to the 8. They beat Melbourne the following week by 9 points, lost to the Gold Coast Suns, lost to Sydney by only 26 points, so not that much in, and then, as you touched on, a 13-point victory over the Bombers. So at their best, they can challenge the top 8 sides. It's just hard to know what you're going to get.
Yeah, it is. And I think this time of year, you're looking for reliability. You're looking for anywhere, anytime, DJ. And I think, the Swans are just showing week in, week out now that they're very much, you know what you're going to get. The top 3 teams are in that mould. The Lions have dropped out of that mix. And Port, I think, with some names coming back, can start to cement themselves in that sort of position. But the Giants, you're right, Clinchy, they're not in that echelon at the moment. They're still a bit inconsistent, not reliable. They still pick and choose a little bit with their effort. Today's a great opportunity, given the build-up to it, given the fact they've had to jump on a plane and get down here. Same as their opposition, no excuses.
Port Adelaide were in Melbourne. They didn't have to leave, so they got the advantage.
That's a good point. Yeah. But I think, across the board, this time of year, you're looking for teams. I'm not even talking about results. You're looking for teams who are going to give effort week in, week out. And the Giants haven't been able to do that, but they get a chance to do that for the next month.
Beach Port Adelaide obviously had the spotlight put on them following a loss to Melbourne on a Thursday night, where it felt like they just couldn't quite match it with the best side. Since then, they've had workmanlike wins over St Kilda and Collingwood. So they've been able to grind it out, hoping that they get some of their crucial cogs back in. As Corby touched on from the outset, they've got their small forwards. It feels like the pieces of the puzzle are coming now. They have to start to deliver on it.
Yeah, that's right, and what a time to do it as well. So timing's everything in this game, as we know. So teams have been able to get it together, get their team in terms of injuries, get continuity. I think it's important for those guys coming back too. They've got now a few weeks to actually try and find some form and that match fitness, which, Luke, as you know, you can't really emulate in any training you do. So that's really important. But you might mention, Luke, the Port's just on that edge of playing consistent footy, but I think with GWS, I think there's just too heavy reliance on their stars. I don't think they have that depth from, probably from that 10 to 12 players and onwards to the 22. So I think for tonight or this evening, for them to win, all their good players are going to have to play well, and I think that's been evident through their wins and their losses, and that's a consistent theme. So at their best, yes, but I think tonight, just Port Adelaide, more on the line for Port Adelaide. I think GWS obviously hovering around the 8, but they're just essentially making up the numbers, as I think we all feel, if they do manage to make it.
Played a big game of keepings off last week. The Giants had 120-odd uncontested marks against the Bombers, and it worked really well. They were really able to stretch the Bombers' defence, and eventually they were able to score. They've still got issues. I mean, Toby Green coming in helps that, we know. It'll be interesting to see if they go for a similar tactic against the Port side, who we know are very dynamic in transition, rather, on a turnover. So interesting strategic battle tonight too.
Loop ball alongside Brendan Goddard, Mitch Cleary down the boundary. The final match of round 20, GWS and Port Adelaide. Here's Corbin Middlemass.
The best way is to take care of things yourself. Port to defend their spot in the top 4, and likewise the Giants in the top 8. The music's still playing, and yet the game's underway as Mumford wins the tap down to Kelly. Kicks out towards the city wing. Chase is on. Out there is Drew, in fact Bergman, who bowls over Ward. Got a hand pass away, but Ash there for the Giants. Picks it up, sends a hand pass away. Crunched in the tackle is Peatling on debut. James Peatling. He's tackled, taken to ground. Lysett tackles him a second time as he collects the footy again. We'll have a ball up on the city wing. James Peatling, pick 8 in the mid-season draft out of Pennant Hills, so a local New South Wales lad from the Hills district, west of the city.
Out of the Giants Academy. Been waiting there a couple of years to get his chance.
From the restart, Lysett won it down to Wines, trying to get a hand pass to Bergman. Couldn't take it cleanly. Rosie with a hand pass back to Lysett. Corralled by Toby Green, trying to find the right avenue forward. Chips it wide and Bergman takes the mark on the city side between wing and half forward. Swings onto his right-hand side, kicks long towards Charlie Dixon and Laddams. Laddams couldn't complete the mark and Taylor claims it. Umpire said he had enough of the footy. He has the mark in the right back pocket, went to play on. Under pressure from Marshall, gets the hand pass back to Whitfield. Long bomb out of defence, but Bergman takes the intercepting mark for Port Adelaide at left half forward.
So here's Miles Bergman, picked 14 back in 2019. So second-year Port Adelaide player as he kicks inside the forward line, and Peatling takes the intercept mark. The 20-year-old on debut for the Giants. He swings it from one back pocket to the other. Taranto collects on the bounce, lays a hand pass back to Nick Haynes, the All-Australian who goes long to Toby in a one-on-one, gets rid of Houston, can't take the juggled mark, spills in front of Lloyd, runs onto the footy, kicks down to half forward, Aaliyah moves across in defence, in the other direction Himmelberg knocks it to Daniels' advantage, cutting through centre half forward for the Giants, lays it back to Whitfield, kicks inside 50 and Hogan at full stretch takes the mark right half forward. He can have a ping for the G-men for the first score of the game. Mitch Cleary's on the boundary. G'day, Mitch.
As was the case in the first game, they actually mowed the grass between the two games to make the lines a bit more pronounced. So just something I picked up in the 3 hours break we had off between the first and the second game.
Very observant, Mitch.
It's the attention to detail.
Here's Toby. Here's Jesse Hogan. Fourth game back as he moves in. His set shot drop punt is superb. That's the way to start. Hogan puts it through and the Giants have the opener. 2.5 minutes in. GWS won straight. Port Adelaide yet to score. Brendan Goddard and Luke Paul on Grandstand AFL.
Well, it came from the back half, Beach. Was the youngster the first game. They took a good intercept mark. Stood in the hole and showed a bit of courage. But then it was the ability to get off and switch quick. Last week, we spoke about before the game, they were happy just to chip the ball around the back half and build it like that really slowly and test out the Essendon defence. They can't do that today if they're going to beat this Port Adelaide team. So that's really encouraging. Hopefully that sets the tone for them. They switched the ball to the open side, kept moving fast, got the ball to Green. It wasn't pretty at times. Brent Daniels was involved. He's played a bit more midfield time. You see him starting in the centre bounce as well to get his speed into the game because they do lack a bit of speed and run out of halfback. So hopefully that's a sign of things to come for the Giants, and well done by Whitfield as well, running hard, getting involved a couple of times already.
Luke Ball with you on ABC Sport. Mumford and Lysett in the middle of the ground. Lysett one down the tap, but Daniels onto it for the Giants. Kicks to half forward. Nice kick. Juggling the mark. Toby Green regathers. Gets it back to Daniels. So a couple of crucial involvements. Long kick towards Lloyd. Punched away from him. Into the pocket for the Giants. Perryman onto it. Gets the hand pass to Kelly. Hemmed in against the boundary. Kicks to the corridor. Down low. Aim and clean pickup for Port Adelaide. And he looks for a long kick up to the wing towards Charlie Dixon. Taylor in front. Dixon shoves him underneath. Gives the hand pass to Sam Powell-Pepper.
Gives it back to Dixon. Dixon kicks laterally, finds Amon. Marks logo dockside. Hand pass away to Houston. Port up over halfway. Gives it to Wine. 60 from home. Kicks inside 50. Awkward half volley pickup. Marshall can't control it. Slips away to Haynes and the Giants on the last line. Hand pass to Davis. Swings the kick to the back pocket. Peatling's got it again. Plays on. Runs out of the defensive 50. City side of the ground. Kicks down the wing and out of position. As Himmelberg, McKenzie takes the intercept mark. Port to centre half forward and Powell-Pepper.
He can work it over the top as he's got Ollie Wines. Missed him looking for Zach Butters and good courage. Peatling again.
Yeah,
he's had 3 disposals early and certainly not looking intimidated by AFL level. Kicks towards Hogan. Right half-back couldn't gather cleanly. Gets the hand pass to Taranto. Out to Haynes at right half-back. Long kick towards Himmelberg, who rises and takes the mark in front of Mackenzie. Footy knocked out of his hands, looking to not give away 50. As Himmelberg has it, centre of the wing, goes with a long ball inside 50. Green 101, got rid of Burton underneath, runs onto the footy, dribbles through the second no, hits the left goalpost. Did all the hard work, just couldn't quite finish.
Well, that's an interesting decision from Himmelberg.
I loved it though. There was space, wasn't there? And there was a one-on-one forward.
Yeah, there was, but did he need to kick it? It's a high risk, low percentage play, but it was well read by Toby Green, who just read it better than Burton, and then arguably should have just handballed it to a running teammate to run into an open goal, so that may get brought up during the week.
Burton long into the middle of the ground. The ball ricochets off hands down to Butters. Hand pass to Wines. Out to Powpepper. He links up with Duursma. Breaks one tackle. Kicks inside 50. And out to meet it. Pete Laddams takes the mark. Right half forward. You've got Marshall in the pocket. Ignores that. Dixon getting back. Kicks in the direction of Fantasia, outstretched, can't take the mark on the searching lead. Haynes hand pass dangerous. Fantasia had it, lost it in the tackle, holding the ball. An advantage applied. Well, Taranto, I'm not sure he even wanted to do that. Gives it to Perryman under pressure. He kicks hurriedly to the wing.
Himmelberg to target here. Mackenzie wrestling once more. Connor Rosie slips in nicely and regathers for Port Adelaide. Hand pass to Jonas and to Aaliyah between wing and half back. Kicks into the middle of the ground to Carl Lamont. Thought about the hand pass to Willem Drew. Instead, he'll kick laterally out to the city wing where Burn-Jones takes the mark. Scott Bergman working up to the footy, chips it into his half, and then works it further still to left half forward, and Drew has it. Giants 1-1-7, Port Adelaide yet to score. Looking to come inboard to Burton. He's far more happy having the ball in his hands at half forward than battling with Toby Green in the defensive 50. Kicks inside the 50, and Peatling once again, in fact that was Perryman who takes the mark for the Giants. Kicks out to half back, and Himmelberg gathers the loose footy.
And he goes by hand away to Whitfield. Whitfield's long hand pass to Lloyd against the boundary line. Just kicks straight down the line. Dockside, no one there for the Giants. Mackenzie walks it over. Not under really any pressure at all as Hogan Bawley just appealing with the field umpire for deliberate. It's not forthcoming.
He had a case. He had more time, Trent Mackenzie. It's a missed opportunity. Giants definitely playing with more energy on the ball. That's noticeable at the moment. They're not favouring the uncontested kick mark game at the moment, which is good.
Giants with the first 7 points. Oh, gee, Duursma took on one. He was crunched by Big Mummy, who wins the free kick. O'Halloran has his shirt ripped off completely. And now there's still a wrestle going on between Mumford and a couple of the Port Adelaide players with Boak and Lysick getting across to...
Do we see what happened?
Remonstrate.
Goodness me.
I don't think they were overly happy with the treatment from Duursma. Mitch may have had a better look at that. Meanwhile, Georgiades takes the advantage for Port. Kicks to Amon, who marks it right half forward. So 55 out. Crowded forward 50. Amon lays it up. Dixon flew early. Spills front and centre. Rosie takes on a couple. He's caught holding the ball. And Tom Green free kick in defence for the Giants. Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
So Mumford brought down Duursma, and then Travis Boak came in to let Mumford know, and then Mumford literally picked him up and dropped him, and that was caused a reversal.
Xavier O'Halloran's going to need a new jumper at some stage.
Looks like an apron.
It's chilly out there too.
Tom Green long out of defence for the Giants. The free kick off the ball. As Tom Jonas is going to take it.
Stay out there. Young Lockie Ash has come off the square at half forward, and he's gone to Travis Boak. He did that last week, and he did a really good job on Darcy Parish, kept him to under 20 possessions. So Trav Boak's not in for an easy day today.
Jonas inside the 50, looking for Dixon, spoiled away by Taylor. Ball spills clear. A chance for Port Adelaide. Bergman laid a good tackle, and he's penalised holding the footy. As Peatling, after a good start, tried to just brush the tackle and step out of play and was penalised.
So O'Halloran's jumper, he's still got the collar intact. It's just the whole back of it's been completely ripped, so it's almost like he's wearing it out the back of his shorts at the moment.
Bergman steps out, snaps across the body, a bit too much onto it. And it goes right across the face to the right-hand side and a minor score. Port's first score. They're one behind the Giants, 1-1-7. Mitch Cleary.
They got the jumper ready to go down on the boundary. The trainers actually spent a couple of minutes looking for the GPS of Xavier O'Halloran because it came out of the back of the jumper. They've found it. They put it in the new jumper, ready to swap them over.
Hogan marks the kick out at half-back, kicks down the wing. Read the target. Burn-Jones in front. Burn-Jones held without it. Free kick for Port. And Darcy Burn-Jones to take it. So Jesse Hogan kicked the first of the game. We're now 10 minutes in. It's the Giants 1-1. Port Adelaide 1 behind.
I wonder whether a spare set of jumpers made its way down from Queensland.
Yeah.
Obviously, they forgot. They remembered to put that in. He's right near the boundary. Just get off something. Get out.
Is Mackenzie got the kick from Burne-Jones, puts it inside 50, and Taylor leads Dixon in the chase of the footy. So a big job for Sam Taylor this afternoon. He marks at half-back for GWS, and he's retreating. Kicks back to Iden, top of the defensive goal square for GWS.
O'Halloran's in no urgency to leave the field. I'm surprised the umpire haven't suggested he should.
He's in pretty good nick. He might be happy just to run around out there.
Bit of prime time on a Sunday night.
That's right.
Phil Davis at right half-back, kicks around the wing. Toby Green kept it alive, and hand passes forward, gains another 15 metres. A throw-in between wing and half-back. It's going to be actually a Port Adelaide free kick, so it's coming back, and Bonner's going to take the free kick. Mitch, we're going to see that change?
They are. So he's running out there without a GPS right now. He's doing a lot of unrewarded running that won't show up in his numbers post-game, but the physio's got the jumper. They're trying to get to him, but they can't get to him because of the players switching sides.
Here's Alia, who now has it in the defensive 50. Got the kick from Rosie and then goes short to Bonner, who marks at left half-back for Port.
It's a win for GWS. Yeah, Port just playing a bit of possession footy early on. It's a good sign that Port's sorry, the Giants' pressure's on.
Bonner goes back to Mackenzie. Mackenzie short to Amon. Short kick just gets to Burne-Jones. The pressure from Lloyd. He marks and he's up and playing on. So a bit of run now. Hand pass away to Amon. Takes a bounce, runs up to halfway, kicks long to Dixon. One-on-one with Taylor. Shoves him out of the way and takes the mark. We saw this last Friday night. Dixon moving around the defenders, and he had the hand straight in the back on Taylor there. Shoves him out of the way and takes the mark. And again, no whistle from the umps.
And that's okay if it's a bent arm and it's used the forearm. But there's two movements, right? There's the one, the extension of the arms, and then there's taking the mark. So that was as clear as day. The umpire was side on to that too, so he had to have seen it.
So Dixon, can he cap it off? The ball doesn't lie. The footy gods take care of it. He misses out to the left, to behind. So Port 2 behind, GWS 1-1, 12 played opening quarter.
Earlier today, Melbourne defeated the Gold Coast Suns by 98 points. Hawthorn by 12 over the Brisbane Lions. And in the second quarter, Fremantle 2-10-22, leading the Tigers 1-8-14. That's actually at half-time in the West now. Burton through the middle of the ground for Port Adelaide. Finds Marshall, who turns onto his right-hand side, looking for Georgiades in front. Couldn't complete the mark. Kelly provides good support for Davis. Gets the hand pass back to Iden, to Whitfield. Under good pressure from Fantasia. Taylor with the hand pass out to Haynes, trying to find the right avenue out, and finds Tim Taranto in the left back pocket for the Giants.
Whitfield must have been good in the second half last week, Bally.
Very good. He was good all day, really. First game back, Corb. His running power. The Bombers didn't really have anyone that could go with him, and he started well again today.
Got 10 from the coaches last week. Votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year as Haynes goes long down the line for the Giants. Spills to Taranto. Or hand pass to Hopper. He's caught straight away. Port win it back. Laddams to Butters. Away by hand to Amon. And now on the wing to Houston. Short kick in the middle of the ground. And finds Georgiades. Man in rising star contention. He goes long in the Dixon direction. There's about 3 Giants around him. Both Marshall and Dixon fly. Spills down the Giants' way. Perryman to Haynes. And then away to Green to Hopper. By hand to Himmelberg. Still defensive side of the wing to Taranto. Back to Perryman. Long kick to Toby Green in the one-on-one. Jonas whacks it away from the back. And Himmelberg at the drop there for the Giants.
Tried to snap around his shoulder. Toby Green was racing back to the attacking 50, and Tom Jonas was able to take the intercepting mark. The Port Adelaide captain. There's it short to Burton, who has it still at right half back. Burton called the play on. Looks with a long ball towards Charlie Dixon, who'll have a couple to beat. Marshall tried to come in from the side. Got a hand to it. Kelly races back for the Giants, but overran the footy. Dixon puts his big frame over the footy and can't knock it clear. Pack forms on top of him with Xavier Dersmer over the top, and the umpire will throw it up just inside 50 for Port Adelaide. It's the Giants by 5 points, 1-1-7 to the power 2 behind. It's Jesse Hogan with the only goal so far.
No late change either, as Tom Green's doing some ruck work and got a hit out against Dixon. He cuts it out of play, though, so we'll have a boundary throw in half forward for the power.
He was good last week too, Tom Green, and in this role, having to do a bit of chop-out ruck work. So, I mean, really, Port should have an advantage here with Laddams.
So he's involved again. Laddams moves Green out of the way. He'll play the free kick. So Laddams with the ruck infringement, moving Tom Green out.
That's just a ruckman out-manoeuvring a midfielder. We should be playing
Ruck. Yeah. We go short to Ward. Butters got a hand in there and then follows up with a big tackle. Butters. Ball comes out. Green back on top of it. Tom Green and Butters tackling him off the deck. So great work, Zach Butters. Ball up here, 55 out from Port Adelaide's goal.
Laddams doing the ruck work against Tom Green. Comfortably won it down to Willem Drew. Hand pass forward inside the 50, but Hopper gets there first for the Giants. One way then the other. Kick just over the fingertips of Tom Green. Laddams takes it from 52, long towards the goal mouth. It's offline, but pitches on its point and bounces through. A lovely leg break for Port Adelaide's opening goal of the match. I'm sure he can lay claim to that, but I saw Angus Bortenfries deliver one in a showdown, which was certainly far more tricky than that. Port Adelaide take the lead by a point. 1-2-8 to the Giants 1-1-7. 15 minutes gone, opening term.
Well, that's, the riskier run when you let the ball bounce, particularly near the goal line. So, and it was a bit of a wounded duck, so it was floating through the air. So it could have bounced anywhere, and Haynes, they had an outnumber there too, GWS, so there was no issue if the ball had bounced up and in play or it went through from behind. They were able to get the ball back into play pretty quick. So a little bit unfortunate and lucky for Port Adelaide, but again, if you've got the opportunity to mark it near the goal line, just do it. Take all the risk out of it.
Inside 50s ball is 15-3 Port Adelaide's way.
Yeah, they've held up pretty well. They haven't been able to get too many deep to one-on-ones. It's working okay, Giants. They've been able to get Nick Haynes free a lot. He's had 8 possessions, Nick Haynes, so they haven't looked that damaging when they've had those inside 50s to this point, Port.
Laddams now rucking. He's going to get a free kick. Illegal shepherd against Tom Green. So the last 2 times they've gone at it in the ruck. 2 backup ruckmen. Tom Green filling that role. We've had free kicks paid one either way. So Laddams with the centre break after kicking the goal. Looks in the Dixon direction. G. Davis is all over him. And a free kick to Dixon. He'll get it 30 metres out. Virtually straight in front. And a chance to make it 2 in a row for Port Adelaide.
All over him like a cheap suit, though.
Yeah, he was. So 6, it's not sustainable, though, is it? We know that's when Port are at their best, when they're dominating field position, getting repeat inside 50s. And it'll only be a matter of time before the damn wall breaks. So, yeah, I mean, we see Mumford come back on the ground now, centre bounce. It becomes as critical, because if they're going to lose that, they're going to find it pretty hard to transition the footy. And as I said, it'll only be a matter of time for Port.
He's had one sider already, Dixon, to get his first of the day. It sails through post high. And Port Adelaide cashing in here on their early dominance inside 50. So 16 entries and now a couple of goals. Dixon with his first of the night. 17 minutes in, Port Adelaide 2-2-14. GWS 1-1-7. Brendan Goddard, Luke Ball, Grandstand AFL.
I don't want to go the early crow, but this is how the earlier game started here at Marvel, where Gold Coast just were trying their hardest or standing up to the pressure and the re-entries from Melbourne, and then you made mention, Luke, the holding up the damn wall, then it just broke in that second quarter. So not great signs for GWS. Just when they do win the ball here too, particularly coming out of defence, their forwards just, I don't think, are working hard enough to provide an option.
Yeah.
Port Adelaide defenders taking a really aggressive position in front of them on the outside to protect that lead. So they've got to work harder to fight for that outside position. Just to offer a lead, you don't need to mark it, but just give your teammates something to kick to.
Brendan Goddard and Luke Ball, your experts on Grandstand AFL. Matt Clinch and Corbin Middlemass calling the action, and Mitch Cleary down the boundary. Lysette one down the tap, trying to get it to Travis Boat. Willem Drew in there with a hand pass away. High contact, and it's going to be a Giants free kick. Ball has to be returned to the middle to Jacob Hopper. He'll take it just ahead of the centre circles. Looks to drive the Giants into attack, looking for the big flyers from behind. Lloyd had to spoil it down. Boat couldn't take it cleanly. Hand pass to Burne-Jones, and now to Bonner with a clearing kick to Laddams, who marks on his chest a right half back for the power. Inboard to Willem Drew at full stretch, couldn't pull in the mark. It springed out of his fingertips. Hopper with a hand pass. Got it to Whitfield and then to Haynes at left half forward. Kicks inside the 50. Aaliyah flies against Himmelberg. Spoils it towards the boundary. Taranto kept it alive, but Himmelberg is pushed across the boundary line by Burton. And a boundary throw in the left forward pocket for the Giants.
Lloyd there, is it? Looks a bit ginger, slow to get up. It was a big contest, yeah.
Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
Looks like he landed on his ankle, went to grab for it straight away, now in the hands of trainers Daniel Lloyd and just limping off.
I don't need that, because I was just about to say, when they do get that clearance to get the ball forward, they need their crummers involved. They've got a lot of big key contested markers, they're going to have to score from ground level today.
The boundary throw in, Lysett wins it down. Burton, quick hand pass to Burn-Jones, back to Lysett. Just a dump kick out of the defensive arc. Laddams underneath it. Whitfield flies, no mark. Back into dispute. Boak extracts it. Hand pass away to Drew. Chucks it on the boot up towards halfway. Marshall clever, tried to knock it on. Had to contest with Davis. There's O'Halloran though for the Giants. First one there. Gives it to Davis. His hand pass straight to Dixon. Loose hand pass out wide to Powell Pepper. He's tackled immediately by Taylor and ends up wearing Taylor like a backpack. In the end, the umpire says, I'll have it, and the ball up. Between wing and half forward for Port Adelaide. Power by 7 points, having kicked the last 2. Time on opening quarter.
Mumford one down the tap, then had a second go at it, trying to clear the congestion. Carl Amon gathers for Port Adelaide between wing and half forward. Drives a long kick towards Georgiades. He flies against 2. Dixon stayed down. Gathers at the top of the goal square and puts through his second. Back-to-back goals for Charlie Dixon. And Port Adelaide with the last 3 goals of the match open up a 13-point advantage. 3-2-20 to the Giants 1-1-7. 21 minutes gone. Opening term on ABC Sport. You with Brendan Goddard and Luke Ball.
Well, kick it to the hot spot, the old coach's saying, and generally good things happen, but Charlie Dixon playing the role of the small crumbing forward there, so it was a 2v2, and then I think it was GWS just went, they both flew for the ball. Yeah, they did. They got involved in the marking contest, and Charlie just stayed on his feet, so a lot of space around him. Didn't clear the area with their punch or their spoil and didn't mark it, so they've got to do one or the other, both the GWS defenders. So read the play well, Charlie. Didn't have to worry about finishing when you're kicking goals from the top of the square.
It's Carl Amon becoming a real player. He's, I think he'd be top 5 in Port's best and fairest this year. He's had the 8 possessions already, and a lot of them are really penetrating. He runs and kicks long.
3 in a row for Port Adelaide now. Free kick in the middle. Boak held. Goes short to Rosie. Rosie looking to dish off the hand pass. He's got a runner in Burton. Pulls up as he settles from 50 out. He looks for home. He misses out to the right. Behind. 3-3 to 1-1. Port by 14. Time on opening quarter. Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
Daniel Lloyd just down in the rooms with that ankle complaint. The medical sub of the Giants, Tanner Bruin, who actually would be a like-for-like, is warming up as we speak.
Thanks, Mitch. Lockie Whitfield plays on for the Giants. Runs his full measure into the right back pocket and drives a long kick up to the wing. Mumford was there and Himmelberg as well, but it's Port through Burton who emerged with the footy. Hand pass to Amon and then works the 1-2 with Ollie Wines and Aaliyah. Wines through traffic at left half forward. Off the outside of the boot, kicks inside 50. Marshall in front. Haynes almost able to juggle the mark as he worked him underneath. Boat tries to hand pass forward. No room to move. And the umpire will throw it up as Himmelberg follows up with the tackle. Zach Butters, great to see him back out there. 45 minutes out from Port Adelaide's goal.
Butters, Rosie and Dersma all back last week and all missed a large chunk of footy, which is evident by the heavy strapping on their right knees. All 3 of them have the same strapping. The picks from the same year as Amon turns and kicks inside the forward 50 as Port win it from the stoppage to the top of the goal square. Dixon the target, spills to Peatling. He's taken high. And a free kick for James Peatling on debut, the 20-year-old. One of 10 on GWS's list out of the academy. He goes to Iden in the back pocket. Kicks down the wing, turns it over. So they build the wall across halfway. Lysett chops it off, keeps it in the front half for Port.
Lysett looks to send a high ball inside 50 towards Laddams. And Georgiades from behind. I think he had a lot of that. 2 taps and then I thought he had the third grab. Davis lays the tackle. And the umpire will ball it up left forward pocket. What do you think?
A bit stiff, I think. I think Marshall was a bit stiff not to get a free kick the inside 50 before that. So lucky there, the Giants.
From the throw up. Dixon doing the ruck work, trying to get it down to Georgiades, and Big Mummy's landed on him in lane the tackle. Charlie Dixon's a bit ginger as well. Mitch Cleary.
Yeah, Charlie Dixon, just about to mention, he can't really walk at the top of the goal square right now. He's had a lot of ankle injuries and he's got his left knee strapped at the moment, so one to keep an eye on.
O'Halloran grabs the footy, tackled by Butters, ball up. 45 out from Port's goal, left half forward. Big game for the Giants. They need to win to maintain a place in the top 8. Given the fact the winner of the match between Freo and the Tigers will be provisionally in 8th spot. They've conceded the last 3 and now from the restart, Butters taken high. So free kick for Port Adelaide and Zach Butters is going to get the footy 40 metres out, left half forward for Port.
It's soft, but it's there. It's a sloppy tackle from Josh Kelly. He's been doing a great job as acting captain, but they're battling as hard as they can to hold up and just give away a soft free kick like that, with there's so many numbers around the ball, this will test young Butters though.
Gee, spent some time with the trainers. He's got both shoulders strapped. He's got his knees strapped. At just 20 years of age, Zach Butters in the bright red boots as his drop punt sails goal, and it won't quite have the trip right on the goal line. It's helped through. And a minor score, so Port 3-4. GWS a 1-1, 25 played opening term. It's the Power by 15.
Earlier, Melbourne by 98 points over the Gold Coast Suns. Hawthorn by 12 over the Brisbane Lions. Sydney by 7 over Essendon. Half-time in the match between Fremantle and Richmond. The Dockers leading by 8 points at half-time there in a low-scoring affair. The Giants trying to find the right avenue out of defence as Hopper takes the mark in the right back pocket. Port Adelaide by 15 points after the Giants kicked the opening goal of the match. Hopper with a high ball to the city wing. Aliir sets himself, worked out of it. Taranto couldn't take the mark. Daniels with a hand pass forward to Mumford, and here's O'Halloran in a fresh jumper. Kicks towards half forward. Hogan the target, 2 to beat. Burton did well, nudged him underneath and takes a good contested mark on half back.
Well, they finally got a contest on the finally got a contest on the wing that you've been crying out for, but that's got to come to ground. Jesse Hogan, not good enough.
Burton finds Butters in the centre square. There's always a runner. Hand pass out to Amon. Takes ground, kicks towards Marshall in a one-on-one. Can't mark. Spills down to Taylor. Hand pass to Iden. Goes back to Perryman. And he kicks out to Peatling, who marks at left half back for the Giants. 15-point lead for the Power. 27 played opening quarter. And now Peatling goes long down the wing. Hogan competes, spills to Kelly. Hand pass in the path of Reed. Wanted a free kick for a hole, didn't get it. Drew, of course, on the bottom of the pack. Comes up with it for the Power. Hand pass back to Burne-Jones. Kicks down the line. The one-on-one with Perryman and Marshall, and Perryman spoils it out of play. A throw in just forward of the wing for the Power. Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
Daniel Lloyd's emerged back from the rooms. Just doing a few run-throughs right now. Looks a little proppy, but he's going to give it a go.
Toss back into play. Lycett and Mumford resume their battle. Mumford knocks it to the front where Hopper gathers. Hand pass to Ash, trying to get away from Boat. Wheels around to the right-hand side and kicks towards half forward. McKenzie in front position takes the intercepting mark against Jesse Hogan. Goes short straight through the corridor to Wines. Gives the hand pass to Burne-Jones. Here go the Power once more. Long ball towards Georgiades, who flew against Haynes. Couldn't take the mark. A chance for Peatling to clear. Kicks towards Mumford and Lycett. Lycett gathers the footy but slips over at right half forward. Hand pass inboard to Rosie. Back to Burne-Jones at right half forward. Kicks it straight into Big Mummy. And his kick, as the siren sounds for quarter time, was straight to Connor Rosie. And that'll do us. So Port Adelaide by 15 points at the first break. 3-4-22 to the Giants 1-1-7. 2 goals to Charlie Dixon. Peter Laddams, the other goal scorer for Port Adelaide. Jesse Hogan kicked the opening goal of the match for the Giants. So quarter time here at Docklands, Port Adelaide leading by 15 points on Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio, ABC News Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
If you're not going through an emergency situation right now, it might be the perfect time to explore the all-new ABC Emergency website. ABC Emergency lets you search for incidents near you, or you can check on other locations around the country. There's also a handy button that lets you listen to the local ABC radio station closest to the emergency. abc.net.au/emergency. Save it in your favourites now and keep listening to ABC Radio, your emergency broadcaster.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Plays it back to Whitfield, kicks inside 50, and Hogan at full stretch takes the mark right half forward. He can have a ping for the G-men for the first score of the game. His set shot drop punt is superb. That's the way to start. Hogan puts it through and the Giants have the opener.
Kick just over the fingertips of Tom Green. Laddams takes it from 52, long towards the goal mouth. It's offline, but got its point and bounces through. A lovely leg break for Port Adelaide's opening goal of the match.
Laddams with the centre break after kicking the goal. Looks into Dixon direction. G. Davis is all over him. And a free kick to Dixon. He'll get it 30 metres out. virtually straight in front. He's had one-sider already, Dixon, to get his first of the day. It sailed through post high.
Carl Amon gathers for Port Adelaide between wing and half forward. Drives a long kick towards Georgiades. He flies against two. Dixon stays out, gathers at the top of the goal square and puts through his second. And Port Adelaide, with the last 3 goals of the match, open up a 13-point advantage.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Quarter time at Docklands in Melbourne, the final match of round 20 of the AFL, with Port Adelaide leading by 15 points, 3-4-22 to the Giants 1-1-7. In the other match taking place at the moment, it's the Fremantle Dockers holding a lead over the Tigers, 3-10-28. So 10 behinds for the Dockers, inaccurate in front of goal to Richmond, 1-8-14. So they've also had their problems. Bailey Banfield stretch it off in the second quarter with concussion. Earlier, Sydney defeated Essendon by 7 points. The Hawks by 12 over the Brisbane Lions in Tassie. And Melbourne did a number against the Giants by 98 in the first match here at Docklands, the second of a doubleheader today. Matt Clinch alongside Corbin Minimas, your experts, Brendan Goddard and Luke Ball.
Well, what Port did was they dominated the forward half game, 23 inside 50s to 5. That's a massive differential. And the opportunities coming from that, they only had 7 shots on goal, so their efficiency going forward is quite poor. So maybe just for mine, just a little bit bomby when they're not quite lowering their eyes. They're not quite getting to that launch pad where they can have really deep inside 50s either. So forced to kick just outside of that and be a little bit bomby with it. I think they can just lower their eyes. Their forwards could do a little bit a better job of just presenting up at the ball when they do have a bit of time and space, because what we're seeing, Luke, is particularly from this half-back line, they initially, if they're in a slow play as well, they get that first short 45, but there's always someone running past for the handball, and more often than not they just give it. So they're trusting the guy that's asking for the footy, that he's got time and space, and he's asking for it for the right reasons, and they're just giving it, which is breaking the game open and allow them to create that little bit of overlap, because then the GWS defender's got to come forward to defend that guy that's running into space. So that's been a real highlight, and for GWS what they're struggling with is just their ball use coming out of 50. Their forwards aren't in line or close enough to the initial kick just to present something. Port Adelaide's defenders are getting in really aggressive positions on the outside shoulder of GWS, which is protecting the leading space. Or if they're kicking a halfway from the ball, the Port Adelaide defenders are playing up aggressively in front of them. So they've just got to do a better job for mine, for just presenting, being in an aggressive position, work harder to fight for that spot on the outside shoulder, just to present. Because what happens then is GWS players that get the ball in the halfback flank coming out of defence, they look up and all they see in the space where they're looking for a lead is a Port Adelaide man protecting the dangerous space. So they're forced to then stop and prop or try and find a second option, and then what
turnover comes.
Yeah, what that does is bring pressure and therefore the turnover.
Yeah, you're right. They've got to. It's going to be a hard day for Hogan, for Himmelberg, but they've got to get on their bike, fight for the outside, and as you said, at least make a contact. They can't be getting outmarked for that get-out kick out of half-back, stoppage at worst. And again, that's where Port, when they're at their best, they're so dominant with Lear, we know, and even Trent McKenzie's doing a great job of that at the moment, Ryan Burton and Tom Jonas, and that's what's allowed them, as you said, just to dominate, really play half-court footy. Probably after that first 5 minutes, I thought the Giants had signalled their intent early to try and move the ball a bit quicker than they have been, especially out of half-back, and that was their opportunity to kick that goal. That's where that came from, where they took a bit of a risk and switched and got the ball to the open side, but it dried up after that. And as you said, the Port team defence was able to dictate, and it's looking a bit ominous. I mean, in the end, you'd have to say that they have 23 inside 50s.
Yeah, 23 to 5.
And only 7 shots on goal. You'd have to tip your cap a bit to the Giants defenders. They've been able to hold up okay, and Davis, Taylor and Haynes have been under the pump. They've done an okay job at times, but sheer weight of numbers that won't last. And if that isn't arrested, this could get a little bit ugly as the day wears on. And so clearly the Giants need to halve, if not get on top around the stoppage. It doesn't mean a high stoppage game, but they have to win more than their share of centre clearances. That's their strength around the ball, to at least try and get some sort of field position, get the ball to ground inside 50 and let their smalls get to work, because they're not big key position markers forward of the ball.
Well, it's a loop ball on the opening quarter. Port Adelaide leading by 15 points as we get the second term underway. Bounce in the middle, beautiful straight bounce, which favoured Lycett. He won down the tap against Mumford. Rosie trying to gather for Port Adelaide, does so now as Mumford lays the tackle. A chance for Darcy Byrne-Jones, who kicks around the wings, forward away from Rosie, who landed awkwardly. In fact, it was Butters who landed awkwardly. Sliding in down low was Hopper, gets the hand pass out to Kelly, who retreats backwards by hand and then feeds the hand pass wide to Cumming. So a chance for the Giants to go forward. Kicks towards half forward from behind. Big fly from Toby Green. And a free kick going the Giants' way. I think umpire deemed he had the knee up making contact and pushing Tom Jonas under the footy. He'll take the free kick at right half back.
Gee, he puts his body on the line. Zach Butters. There's traffic coming in the other direction. Looked like he was a bit winded. Instead, he's back up and running now as the kick heads down the city boundary line. Laddams was in the box seat. Spills the Giants' way, though. Coming away to Kelly. Gives it to Ash. Dangerous ball across the ground. Finds Perryman. He takes the mark. Links up with Hopper. Hand pass away to Whitfield. Backward to the centre circles. Kicks to centre half forward. Aaliyah and Hogan. Aaliyah spoils down to Toby Green. He's taken high by Amon. A late whistle. But a free kick to Toby at centre half forward. Decides to play on. Gets around one. Gets around two. Caught by Byrne-Jones. Never gave up the chase. And the All-Australian Byrne-Jones wins the free at centre half back for Port. He comes out wide with a kick to Amon and keeps it alive inside the boundary line.
Kicks towards Charlie Dixon, one-on-one. In from the side, Butters. He mentioned his courage, Corby, a few moments ago. Once more threw himself into danger and claimed the mark. And come inboard to Lycett. He takes the mark just on the edge of the centre square on the Docks wing. Not a lot of run behind him, so he all of a sudden spots Willem Drew all on his own at centre half forward, 55 metres out from goal. Had a career best 32 disposals against Collingwood last week. Kicks it back to a stationary Jonas. Still inside the centre square for Port Adelaide with all bar about 4 or 5 Giants players inside the defensive 50. Kicks towards Burton, who rises at left half forward. Lloyd looks still proppy on that ankle, so Burton plays on. Wheels onto the right-hand side, kicks inside 50. Georgiades caught behind. Haynes in front, brought it to the front. Whitfield with a quick hand pass out to Hopper. And now Kelly with a chance to clear for the Giants.
Just kicks to a contest. McKenzie goes up, tries to mark, can't. Spills down to Amon. Port chop it off at half forward, gives it to Burton. Kicks inside 50. Georgiades second in line. Tremendous contested mark. And again, the youngster Mitch Georgiades comes down with it. He'll have a set shot 20 metres out, 45-degree angle.
Well, again, it's a bit bomby, but what GWS are doing, they're getting numbers back. There's not a lot of space. When Port look up to try and find some, they can't really create isolation because Hayne being that one that's sagging off an opponent that's obviously getting caught up the field in traffic, so he's just sitting in that hole. So they're forced to try and create something in there. It's just a bit of individual brilliance. Said Georgiades coming from arguably too deep, but he had his opponent on him, and then Davis that was filling that hole in front of him.
No second-year blues for this kid. Mitch Georgiades slots it. He's up to 28 for the year. Twice a Rising Star nom, and you'd have to think one of the fancies for this year's award. 3.5 minutes into the second term, Port Adelaide's lead grows. That's 4 on the trot. They're 4-4. GWS 1-1. 3.5 played second term. Brendan Goddard and Luke Ball.
Yeah, he looks good when he can launch at the ball, can't he? And he had a good run at it there. Haynes, we know, likes to take front position, or it was Davis on that occasion. Sorry, Haynes was caught behind. So that's what you've got to do if you're playing on a Nick Haynes, who backs himself in the air. You've got to put yourself in a position to be able to launch at the footy like that and make him defend. And he's got a really good, strong leap, hasn't he? Georgiades is he's such an impressive player. He's going to be hard to beat in that award if Port finish off the season well over the last month.
It's going to be a good finish too. But Tom Green, Luke Jackson had a big day today after a little sort of lull in his season.
Georgiades kicked 8 goals last season, so all of a sudden 28 for the season. It's an explosion from the 19-year-old from Western Australia. Willem Drew trying to get the clearance of Port Adelaide. Brushed the tackle at Kelly. Gets the hand pass out to the dog swing. Carl Amon was dragged off it. And Tom Green tries to knock it out. Taranto eventually is held up, and the umpire will throw it up just below our broadcast position here at Docklands. Not far from where Mitch Cleary's watching on.
Daniel Lloyd's still a little bit proppy, as you said, Clinchy, with that ankle, but Charlie Dixon had his left knee re-strapped at quarter time, came in with strapping on it, had it re-strapped. He's one to watch throughout the remainder of the game.
Lycett looks to burst away from Mumford, the battle of the big men, but his kick to half forward is misguided. And the mark is taken by Perryman on the defensive 50. Comes back inside the defensive arc and finds Nick Haynes, who's called to play on.
The best and fairest winner off the back flank. That's just a high bomb to the wing, and Hogan, the only man who goes up, takes the mark defensive side of the AFL logo. Hogan now just kicks out to half forward, trying to control the traffic, finds Taranto, links up by hand with Daniels from 60 out against the boundary line, kicks to the top of the goal square. Nice work, Reid pumps it down to Toby Green, who kicks it from the goal square. Just like a ruckman, Sam Reid just palmed it down beautifully into the path to Toby, and he did the rest from the goal square. Some inventive stuff from the Giants. They've got their second. 2-1-13, Port Adelaide 4-4-28. 5.5 late in the second term, the Power by 15.
Well, Toby had no right to just as clean as he did on his left hand, running kind of sideways. I'm not sure if it was a deliberate tap down. Who was it, Reid in the end, did you say, Corb? So, yeah, I think he was trying to hit it to his advantage, but his own just to bring it to ground and follow up. But good players just find themselves in the right spot at the right time, and Toby worked really hard. He was that last line of, I guess, for the forwards, waiting for that long kick from Hogan. It was a good kick in the end of Taranto. It spread really hard forward, and then Toby worked really hard to get back front and square to that Reid contest and just to provide an option, and then gets on the end of it really clean. And it's hard to miss again from there from 2 metres out.
Brendan Goddard with you on ABC Sport. Third quarter action from the West. It's the Dockers leading the Tigers by 11 points. Fremantle 4-10-34. For the Tigers 2-11-23.
It wasn't conventional, wasn't it? But at least Jesse Hogan presented at the footy, and Adelaide actually dropped off him and allowed him to mark it. So he needs to do more of that.
Lycett and Mumford neither with a decisive tap. Will and Drew gathers. Hand pass to Boak and now to Houston. Kicks up towards Fantasia, who marks it half forward. Thought about the hand pass into the corridor. Now round the back to Bergman, who kicks towards Ollie Wines. Couldn't jumble the mark, but does break away from Haynes. Back to Bergman. Rush kick inside 50. Dixon tries to race after it as Iden hand passes around the boundary line. And eventually out 45 metres out from Port Adelaide's goal at the Lockett end. The Power 4-4-28 to GWS 2-1-13. So the margin 15 points after Port Adelaide led by that score at quarter time.
Lockie Ash kept Darcy Parish to just 15 touches last week in the tag. He's hanging out with Travis Boak so far tonight, and Boak with just the 4 disposals from the boundary throw in. Whitfield had it, lost it in the Drew tackle. Spills to Iden, kicks out of the defensive arc. Daniels can't take the juggled mark. Spills to Lycett. Lycett puts his head over it. 70 out from the Powers goal. Ump lets them play. Hogan's hand pass back in the bottom of the pack eventually, and still the umpire lets them go. Drew's going to lock up Taranto, so we'll have a ball up eventually. Half forward here for the Power. What a year he's had, Willem Drew, the all 10 from the coaches last week against Collingwood on Friday night, and he's got the first touch here from the restart. Kicks across the half forward line, and O'Halloran takes the intercept mark for the Giants off half back.
The jumper ripped in the first quarter, refused to come off despite showing the bare skin on the back. Kicks around the outer wing to Lloyd with that proppy ankle. Off hands it finds Daniels, who kicks inside the 50, not 15 to Toby Green, so had to get the hand pass away. Bergman gathers for Port Adelaide. Got a hand pass to Drew and now to Houston, who kicks out to right half back, and Ryan Burton takes the mark. Port Adelaide by 15 points. Burton sees Marshall running into space on the city wing. He now advances it towards Boak, who's got Iden for company. Ball cleared him. Phil Davis comes in, trying to spin out of traffic as Trav Boak laid the tackle. And the umpire will throw it up in the right forward pocket for Port Adelaide.
A real missed opportunity there for Port Adelaide. They had an outnumber at the contest. If Marshall just had a look slightly to his inside, he had Orazio Fantasia that would have ran into arguably a shot from about 40 metres, but took the contest to a 50-50 to Boak inside their forward 50, so missed opportunity.
From the ball up, Dixon palms it down to Wines. He tumbles a kick goalward, but it's out of play. Taylor happy to see it out next to the behind post, so a boundary throw in. Deep inside the forward arc for Port Adelaide. They lead by 15 from the throw-in. Mumford swats it down from the back down to Wines. He's tackled by Kelly and dispossessed. Umpire says play on. Kelly picks it up, kicks it straight into his teammate O'Halloran. Now he's dumped in a tackle. So they're going forward, but the tough way, the Giants. They've made another 20 metres or so. A ball up here, 40 metres out from Port Adelaide's goal.
Dixon doing the ruck work against Mumford. One down the tap. Peatling was knocked off it. O'Halloran's kick was smothered by Carl Amon. Mummy over the footy. Had to try and knock it out, and Dixon with a further tap got it to Amon. The hand pass to Wines inside 50. Trav Boak sliding it in front position. in the right starting position. And the former Port Adelaide captain with a heavy tag in the midfield, having gone forward, will now get a chance to strike gold.
Yeah, it looks like he's shaken that guy, having gone forward, as you said, Clinchy. He had Connor Iden for company there, and it's almost a bit of a free hit for him here, Trav Poke. I mean, you feel like that his team are on top around the ball, so he can experiment a bit, and go forward.
Travis Poke, game 301. Great kick from 45 metres out, showing no signs of slowing down. And Port Adelaide stretch it out to a 21-point advantage, as they did with the opening goal of the second quarter. 5-4-34 to Port Adelaide, to the Giants 2-1-13. 11 minutes gone, second term on ABC Sport. You with Luke Ball and Brendan Goddard.
Oh, he's running off. I don't know why, because Lockie Ashes run off, so you want to stay out there a bit and enjoy a bit of freedom, but he hasn't done that a heap, has he, Beach, over the years? He
go forward
on a tag. He's certainly capable. He's big enough.
I think you're right. Just they've been searching for that third on baller for quite some time. So I think Drew's form justifies his position going forward. So they're able to fill that void, and then you've got he's kind of your second guy in there with Ollie Wines when he's not on ball, and then you got the other guy rolling through there, which is Butters, Orazio Fantasia, Amon. There's a number of guys can fill that third role when Boak isn't in there.
Laddams wins the head out back in the middle, down to Cal Ward. He's locked up straight away, and another pack forms. Well, there's a free kick taken high, Ward.
Is that Mumford?
In fact, it was Wines taken high by Mumford, so a little sloppy as one of the last men in on that pack, and so Wines is going to get the free, and Port get the centre break, and then Mummy crashes straight into Wines after kicking it inside 50. Dixon flies, spills down to Marshall. Hand pass comes away to Laddams, who snaps, and Pete Laddams kicks his second of the game. And all of a sudden, Port Adelaide have it out to a new game high. The Power by 27, 6-4-40, GWS 2-1-13, 12 played second term.
Right.
Yeah, go on, Beach.
Well, I guess probably question what Laddams has come in and out of the team. They've experimented with that double ruck role with Lysette and him, but what he does provide when he is forward, he's actually pretty good at ground level and finds a footy in general play, so he's reasonably smart. So they just couldn't impact it in the air, and then turned around and played that small forward role, which we've seen Dixon do, but at least got front and square, and he's a pretty good finisher in front of goal as well, so he's a little bit more agile than your standard kind of go-to ruckman, and offers a little bit more forward than just your stand impact, kind of crash pack, mark kind of player. So pretty good finish.
Voice of Brendan Goddard, Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
I think Scott Lysett might be an ABC fan. He just turned around to the box to look up to you guys calling. You can hear everything down here, and the players have spoken about it. You can hear the commentators on the ground.
Don't do that, Mitch. That makes us very self-conscious. Tom Green with a clearing kick sends the Giants forward. They've conceded 3-1 in this second term. Cal Ward runs onto it on 50, fires on goal, pushes, he got his kick away, it didn't matter. He put it through regardless. And an important goal for GWS as Port Adelaide was starting to mount a surge. They got it out to 27 points. Callum Ward, who's been pretty quiet, just his first kick of the match, was able to steer through a goal to pull the margin back to 21 points. Port Adelaide 6-4-40 to the Giants 3-1-19.
He has been quiet. He's gone onto the ball to try and get himself going a bit. He's been in pretty good form, Cal Ward, but only the one possession up until that kick, and it was a lovely finish under pressure. Just the value of getting the ball out of the centre, it's an obvious statement, isn't it? But in particular for this Giants team against this Port Adelaide team who was so good at setting up and behind it, they become even more critical, and they become even more challenging with Tom Green in the ruck against Pete Laddams, but they're able to do it well then.
Margin back to 21. Tom Green rucking here opposed to Laddams. Laddams wins the hit out and then follows up. Somehow got the ball away to Butters. Back edge of the centre square. Hand pass to Burn-Jones to Wines. Back to Burn-Jones. He gives it to Houston. His kick touched on the way through as Toby Green got a hand on it. Loose footy, City wing. Dersmer off his backside trying to hand it out towards Houston. The ball bobbles around and then spits out in the direction of Ward. Hand pass over to Lloyd. Lloyd, clean look at them from 45 out. Kicks it on the run. Two quick ones for the Giants, and they're right back in it. 6-4-40 Port Adelaide. GWS moved to 4-1-25. Margin back to 15 points the Powers way. 15 played second quarter.
Yeah, just when we thought it was getting away from GWS, they've gone bang, bang. It was wasn't the cleanest of goals from both of them, but just doing enough now. You may mention Ward going into the midfield. They've trialled him in different roles this year, particularly early. He was playing a bit of half-back, and I think they are worried and concerned about their like-for-like through that midfield bally, where they're just kind of one pace. They're all very similar players. If Kelly isn't in there and Whitfield doesn't go through there at all anymore, but he's playing that half-back role. That's probably why we see Daniels in there. Toby Green's coming up now as a half-forward, but they need to get a different mix, and they're experimenting, trying to play Ward. They've got Green in the ruck still, so arguably they've got 4 midfielders now playing in there.
2 goals in as many minutes for the Giants as Laddams comfortably wins down the tap against Tom Green. Ollie Wines trying to get a hand pass back to Laddams. It's intercepted by O'Halloran for the Giants to Hopper, trying to sidestep. Butters gets it back to O'Halloran, kicks inside the 50. Himmelberg in front, couldn't juggle the marker. Lear emerges with it. Good dash to get away from the chase. Got the hand pass to Bonner and now to Dersma. To Burne-Jones, who kicks a long ball up to the city wing. Travis Poker, surrounded by 2 Giants, gathers and kicks towards half forward into the path of Butters. A beautiful pass. He gathers in the right forward pocket. A bouncing shot on goal and a great finish. Electric pace from Port Adelaide as they moved it from defence into attack seamlessly. And answer back. Could we have a shootout at the Docklands this afternoon? We saw that at the MCG with Essendon and Sydney in the third quarter. Well, we've had 3 goals in about 4 minutes. And Port Adelaide answered to return a 21-point advantage. 7-4-46 for the Giants. 4-1-25, 16 minutes gone, second term.
I was just about to say, it's a funny game, isn't it, Pete? It's 3 centre bounces with Tom Green in the ruck, 3 wins for the Giants, and 2 goals, and it looked like they were going deep inside 50. Aaliyah was magnificent there, and how's that kick from Darcy Burne-Jones? He just punched it low and hard, and it carried the line of Giants midfielders onto Travis Boak, and then it was a beautiful kick from him as well. And that's what they can do, Port. They're so dangerous, aren't they, on the rebound, and the Giants would have been thinking, here we go, we've got them under pressure again.
Well, on both occasions, Giants had an outnumber where the ball hit the ground of Boak. There was Ward and one other there, so it was, you're right, it was a perfect kick. And then Boak's kick to Butters, he was surrounded by 3 GWS players, so someone's got to be accountable for him at the end of the day, but it was pretty slick and had to be perfect skills, and they did it and executed.
Tom Green out of the middle, trying to get a kick away for the Giants. Still can't clear the centre square. And Wines had it, lost it, coming for the Giants. Hand pass away to Toby Green, kicks inside 50, and McKenzie takes a nice mark. In the defensive arc, top 5 in last year's best and fairest, Trent McKenzie, and yet was out of the team at the start of the year to really earn his place back in the side.
Amazing, really, isn't it? Amazing turnaround in a career.
That's incredible.
Isn't it? Looks like now he's just a reliable key defender.
And that was in a team, of course, it was what a kick away from playing in the grand finalists.
And didn't he
played on Tom Hawkins, didn't he?
Yeah, but even leaving Gold Coast, how was his...
it wasn't straight in.
Transition to...
give him a couple of years.
It was like a late kind of pick-up to fill a void of just a backup kind of defender.
Yeah, you're right, it was,
Wines out to half-back. It was punched out of play, but a free kick for Bergman. So Bergman's going to send it down to half-forward for the Power. Chopped off by Davis, floats a kick down the wing. Himmelberg crashes the pack, spills front and centre to Lloyd. Hand pass out to Ward to the Giants inside 50. Hogan caught in a tangle. He hangs on to McKenzie, a free kick for the Port Adelaide defender, and Trent McKenzie will get it in the back pocket. And then they call the cannon. 21 points, Port Adelaide's lead. 18 played, second term.
And that's where the Giants, you just need more from your key forward there. That's just twice now. 2 one-on-one contests, he's just outpointed him. Cold, and it's not like he's a bigger, stronger guy.
Short to Rosie and then to Bonners. Bonner Houston turned it over though. A chance for Perryman. Kicks into the pocket. Toby Green almost claimed the mark against Burne-Jones. Didn't want to give the hand pass to Reid. Now into the pocket. The hand pass to Taranto. Trying to get back on his right hand side. Snaps on goal. That's a great finish. Tim Taranto with top class finish. What a contest we're having in this second quarter. Port Adelaide's lead cut back to 15. 7-4-46 of the Giants, 5-1-31. 19 gone.
Sorry, Clinch, I was laughing. Contest, it's more like a shootout. There's not so many contests going on. There's not so many stoppages around the ground or clearances or throw-ins. It's a bit of end-to-end, but there's some individual brilliance. The play before that, Port Adelaide's goal, and this slick ball movement, and then there, Toby Green's just ability to stand up in the tackle. As you may mention, she should have given that to Reid and then didn't want to, and then Taranto had no left foot running into that pocket to come back on his right foot surrounded by 3 Port Adelaide players, and then one was in the process of tackling him and snapped around her body for a great finish. So it's a fun game to watch, but I don't think either team, in particular Port Adelaide, would be happy with the way things are panning out, considering their dominance in the first quarter, and they're going to play finals, let's be honest. So they'd love to be playing a brand of football that's more sustainable in finals.
Power by 15 points. Mumford wins it down. Hopper kick forward, chopped off though. Bonner back edge of the square, out to meet it. Gives it to Boak, to Dersma by hand, away to Burne-Jones. His kick smothered. Spills to O'Halloran. Out of trouble. Got it to Ash. Goes back by hand to Peatling. He thought he was taken high. No free kick. And now he's pink for holding the ball. Run down by Dersma. And Xavier Dersma to take the free city wing for Port Adelaide. He goes wide with the kick. Wines gets there on the bounce. Turns and kicks to half forward. Dixon trying to hold out Taylor. Can't take the mark. Taylor follows up. Hand pass out to Cumming. Goes by hand to Haynes. Now to Davis. Close to the boundary line. Gives it back to Haynes. It slips out of play. And a boundary throwing now. Forward pocket for the Power. So they get a stoppage inside 50. Time on second quarter. Power by 15 points.
4 goals apiece in this second quarter. I've got to BJ's 5 goals in 7 minutes. So some of those old footy fans you love would be happy with the fall. Just getting in quickly. Dixon doing it out of the ruck. Almost got boots the ball. Got it to Laddams, who did the rest. Pete Laddams with his third. We're just going to check if it was touched. Threw a lot of bodies in the congestion. Dixon got it forward to Pete Laddams, who jammed it onto his left boot. It's just whether it brushed the hand of not only one but 2 Giants in the defensive goal square.
On-field calls a goal.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. He's got some tricks, hasn't he, Laddams? He's just dangerous. We've seen it across the year. He kicked that freakish goal, didn't he?
And
the banana. He's got some real... He's got that sort of low centre of gravity for a 200 centimetre.
What does that mean? Just his ability to win ground balls?
That just means he's more agile on the ground. Yeah, he's not a big, tall, lanky ruckman. Yeah, like Brodie Grundy. He's got short legs. Even though he's 200 centimetres. He's
on the run in general play.
Yeah, he does. Absolutely. You don't see Mummy do that. No. Or big Scotty Lysett with his long legs.
Well, especially with Marshall and Georgiades still immature in their body size. I'm sure they're hoping that those will come along. The all clear's given. So Laddams with 3 goals in the opening half. He's kicked 3 goals on 3 occasions now. 4 occasions. So against Essendon, Fremantle and Collingwood, and Port Adelaide add to that tally of 5 goals to 4 in this second quarter, leading by 21 points, 8-4-52 to the Giants, 5-1-31. Meanwhile in the West, it's the Fremantle Dockers leading by 10 points, approaching three-quarter time there, 5-12-42. The Tigers struggling at 3-14-32.
Hi, it's Virginia Trioli.
And David Astle.
We want you to tell us a story.
It must be true, and it must include the line, I have been needing to tell you.
Yes, our homespun storytelling competition is back. This time, it's part of the Melbourne Writers' Festival.
The best storytellers will work with us to polish their yarn and then perform on stage in the Theaterette at State Library of Victoria.
For details, look for Homespun on the ABC Radio Melbourne website.
Hurry. Entries close Sunday, August 1.
On the table, so GWS bucking the trend to be in the top 8 with those numbers. We're going to have another ball up in the middle of the ground. Lysett and Mumford. Mumford first hands on the footy. Dersma off the wing. Knocked it away to Drew. His hand pass knocked out. Spills to Burton. Hurried kick to the wing. Bounces off the chest of O'Halloran. He follows up. Spears a drop punt to centre half forward. It's a good one. And Perryman takes the mark. Pokes it over the man on the mark. And Lloyd out to meet it. Has got it 40 from home. Left half forward.
Beautiful kick, wasn't it, Xavier O'Halloran? Great vision. And just punched it. And it's the first time, well, in a little while anyway, the Giants have been able to get players out on the spread, and especially forward of the footy. So, and had a couple of options over the top. And in the end, it's pretty good hands here, you'd think. Daniel Lloyd.
The Port have kicked 5 for the quarter at one end. This would give the Giants 5 at the other. Time on second term. Dan Lloyd for his second of the game. That is pure. Straight through it goes. And the drop punt never looked like missing. Brings it back to 15 points yet again. Goal for goal here in the latter stages of the second quarter. Port Adelaide 8-4. GWS 6-1. The Power by 15.
Yeah, it was a good kick, a really good vision. He's almost forced to come inside because the pressure is on his outside right leg, and then not sure how he found so much space there. It was Perryman, wasn't it? Yeah, and then just found that shot. I think the overlap came because then the Port Adelaide defender had to come up and defend that man on the mark. So their efficiency's really threatening at the minute, to be honest. The inside 50 count now 15 to 32 Port Adelaide's way. So they've had 7 shots on goal and obviously kicking accurately with 6 goals won. So for all the dominance Port have had, they'll be pretty disappointed with the lead they've got at the minute, I would have thought.
Brendan Goddard with you on ABC Sport. Mumford and Lysett resume their battle. Lysett one down the tap, but Mummy follows up the battle. Almost got the clearance, couldn't get a clean hand pass away. Carl Amon with a kick end over end, but only as far as Kelly of the Giants. Kicks a high ball towards half forward. Houston tried to use his body against Sam Reid. Gathers, gets the hand pass to Bonner, who kicks out to the city wing, where Rosie had it spoiled away by Whitfield, and across the boundary line for a throw-in. Port Adelaide by 15 points. Great to hear from you as always on the SMS. 0437 774 774. Michael says, evening boys, don't write us off for a top 4 finish. We'll give it a shake. Go Power. And Grant, who's a regular listener in Waterloo in Sydney, wondering about the fixturing of this game at Docklands rather than the MCG. We might get to that at half-time, Grant.
For the boundary throw-in, the Giants win it. Kelly, hand pass away to Perryman, shoots it out wide to Hopper against the boundary line. He links up with Whitfield. Hand pass to the running Kelly. Kelly kicks down to half forward. The Giants on the end of it. Reid marks, kicks inside 50, and Hogan at full stretch. Marking at left half forward, 40 metres out. Immediately looking to see what's inside 50, but he'll go back now and have a set shot.
Just having a good little patch here, aren't they, the Giants? Just winning the footy around the contest and then getting it to the outside and spreading better. Josh Kelly's having a big 5 or so minutes, up to 14 possessions for the game. And that was a smart bit of forward craft from Big Hogan, just coming back at the footy. Not a heap a defender can do in that situation.
So Jesse Hogan, the flat drop punt, just misses to the left. Behind. So his 4th game back from injury. Kicked 4 in his first 2 outings for the Giants. And then it's gone goalless 2-2, and he's got 1 so far today. 8-4 to 6-2, Port Adelaide by 14 points, 27 travelled in the second term.
Blocks the copybook as well. We'd had 10 straight goals in this second quarter in a match which has been a shootout as both sides have attacked the scoreboard freely. Long kick into the middle of the ground as Port Adelaide move out of defence. Connor Rosie with a hand pass to Todd Marshall, who kicks out to the city wing in front of Willem Drew. Can't gather. Whitfield slides in, wins the footy. Not a lot of support, so hand passes out towards the boundary line where Boat couldn't gather. Perryman's tackle, the ball comes clear and over the line. Lockie Whitfield still down and slow to get to his feet after being tackled. Port Adelaide leading by 14 points. Toss back into play. Mumford and Lysett tangle, both went down. How's the umpire going to view this? A hold? I imagine it's Mummy's free kick.
Got one back, Mummy, finally.
Waste no time, giving the hand pass to Hopper, who kicked it straight into Dersma. Has to try and regather the footy. Ash onto it for the Giants. Got it to Kelly. Kicks inside the 50. Outnumbered Toby Green, 2-on-1. He does gather, but slips over. Gets the hand pass to Lloyd, who can't clear Ollie Wines, who gets in the middle to intercept the hand pass to Dersma. Almost run down by Perryman. Got a kick to Lysett, who marks it right half back for Port Adelaide.
West Coast Premiership ruckman Scott Lysett goes wide to Rosie, who marks on the defensive side of the wing.
Been a good contest. Connor Rosie's had Lockie Whitfield for a large part of the day. Both very athletic, obviously, creative players.
Rosie goes long down the line. Dixon in the pack on the city wing. They all miss it. Spills to Hopper under pressure. Hand pass goes back to Haynes. Works it out to Kelly. Shoots the handball back to Cummings. So the Giants back with it. And coming across the back line to Ash. Lockie Ash, a 20-year-old, the back flank for the Giants. 14-point game. Ash goes back to the city wing. Big punch from Houston, but down into the lapper. Haynes, so again, GWS maintain possession. Out to Kelly. Puts it back down the wing. Burton can't take the one-hander. Having another go at it is Rosie. Great pick-up, and then puts the burners on as he darts away from a couple. Runs straight around Kelly. Feeds a hand pass forward to Wines. Kicks inside the forward 50. Laddam's out to meet it. Slips straight to his hands. Whitfield at the back to try and mop it up. He's tackled by Georgiades. Spun around. Dispossessed. Pack forms around him and a ball up. 15 metres out from Port Adelaide's goal. But what about the pick-up and the run from Connor Rosie?
Yeah, it's That's him at his best, isn't it? We're often seeing him playing ahead of the footy, but there he was able to run towards the goal. It was brilliant.
Mumford one down the tap. Carl Lamon looking to shark it. Couldn't get a disposal away. Georgiades running into Mumford. Lost the footy, holding the ball. Shane Mumford continues to make his presence felt, the 35-year-old, as he takes the free kick inside the defensive 50. Chips it to Iden in the left back pocket. Port Adelaide leading by 14 points. Switch in front of the defensive goal mouth, and Cummings with a kick out towards Perryman. Birdman in from the side, spoils it down. Amon with a good bump on Cal Ward. Oh, coming in aggressively was Tom Jonas. He gave away the free kick. High contact, and Whitfield will take the free kick on a broadcast wing.
He's tough, Whitfield. That's one thing that doesn't get spoken about with him, as we're so used to seeing the other stuff, but he does put that small frame.
He goes short the ball. Short to Cumming. Cumming goes short down the wing to Ward, who loads up, kicks it inside 50. Himmelberg flies. Spills down to Lysa to the power. Hand pass to Bergman at half back. He goes back by hand to Burton. Under pressure, hooks a kick down the wing. Wines in the box seat, takes the pack mark. Superb effort, Ollie Wines. Crashed down on a couple as he hit the deck. And Wines will get up and take it defensive side of the wing for Port Adelaide. Entertaining quarter of footy. Power by 14 points.
He's had a good quarter too, Ollie Wines. He's up to 16.
Goes short to Bonner. Riley Bonner, a lefty, kicks it in the Dixon direction, moves a couple out of the way, can't mark, spills to Haynes of the Giants, gives it to Cumming. Cummings hand pass towards Taylor, stands over the top of the footy, close to the boundary line. Ash got it out to Hopper, away to Kelly, and he's happy to see it over the boundary line. So a throw-in right in front of the interchange gates, ticking towards half-time. 32 travelled in the second term. Port Adelaide by 14.
Start of the final term in Perth. A goal for the Tigers. They're 4-14-38, trailing the Dockers 5-12-42. In tough conditions in the west. From the stoppage, Boat gathers. Hand pass to Lyset, around the body with his right boot. Long ball towards Dixon, didn't get to him. And Wines worked underneath it by Haynes, who takes the intercepting mark for the Giants. At right half back, decides to go back inside the defensive 50.
I reckon the message had come out just to shut it down here for the Giants.
Cumming took the mark, worked it back over the top to Iden and back out to Haynes at right half back. Now with a hand pass forward to Taylor, who drives the ball towards Hogan and Himmelberg. Hogan flew, Himmelberg stayed down. A chance for Daniels, who gathers and gets the hand pass to Hopper at right half forward. Time for one more for the Giants. Kicks towards Reed, got hands to it, couldn't complete the mark. Broke the tackle, got it to Hogan. Hand pass over his shoulder to Kelly. Bit too slick. Hogan had to regather it. Gets the hand pass to Hopper. Kicks inside the 50. Up Lloyd, dropped the mark. And now Reed onto it. He's tackled immediately. And the umpire will throw it up in the right forward pocket. Trent McKenzie laying the tackle. Giants had the numbers, just couldn't hold the catch.
Yeah, gee whiz, that was a roll gold opportunity missed there for Daniel Lloyd.
Mumford palms it down, forward pocket for the Giants. Butters trying to pick it up. He's met front on by Reed. Umpire says play on, and now deliberate. It's going against Damon, trying to get it over the boundary line. And the umpire said he didn't make enough attempt to keep it in. In fact, it was Burn Jones off his boot. Nevertheless, it's a free kick for GWS, and it comes at right half forward, right on the junction of the 50 and the boundary line. So Daniels to take it with a centering pass. Perryman goes up in the air, spills down to Lloyd, kicks to the top of the goal square. Himmelberg clever, taps it back to Mummy, and Mummy snaps it through for a major. Shane Mumford kicks the Giants' sixth of the term, and all of a sudden it's down to single digits. 34 travelled second quarter. GWS 7-2-44. Port Adelaide 8-4-52.
Well, it was good in the end. It was re-entry. It was keeping the ball in there, giving themselves second, third opportunities. I think it was... who was that nearly took that good mark heading back? Not Perryman. Lloyd, sorry. Yeah. The injured man, be wary. Really good effort, brought the ball to ground, and then Mumford, the unlikely finisher.
It's been great, hasn't he? I mean, he's only had 5 possessions. His impact is so much greater. I mean, clearly, with him out there, they're a much better team at the moment, with Tom Green as their backup ruckman. But what a quarter from the Giants.
35 years of age, Mummy. He's played 9 games this year. They've only lost 2 of them.
An 11-goal term in which the Giants have kicked 6 to Port Adelaide's 5. And a fascinating opening half in which Port Adelaide find themselves 8 points clear, having got out by 27 points at the 12-minute mark of the second term, in a game which quickly became a shootout with not much defensive intent. Port Adelaide 8-4, 52 to the Giants 7-44. For Port Adelaide, 3 goals to Pete Laddams, 2 to Charlie Dixon, individuals to Boak, Butters and Georgiades. Meanwhile for the Giants, 2 goals to Lloyd, individuals to Green, Ward, Taranto, Hogan and Mumford. Half-time at Docklands, the final match of round 20 of the AFL. The thoughts of Luke Ball and Brendan Goddard.
Yeah, well, you made mention of it, Clinchy, that it was a bit of a shootout in the end. Both teams, that when they actually won the ball, Port Adelaide were a little bit slicker with it. Some of their ball use was outstanding and really precise, but to GWS's credit, they just kept grinding away. It started, ball you highlighted their centre square bounce work where they got it in there twice. They scored back-to-back goals from that. Then Port Adelaide would reply, and then they just kept chipping away. There wasn't really anything pretty about it. They hit Jesse Hogan up on a lead earlier, but a bit of individual brilliance from both ends with Laddams, Toby Green earlier. So, yeah, it was a good game to watch, but I think from Port Adelaide's point of view, they just want to be stronger defensively and just minimise those kind of half chances that GWS are getting at the minute and finishing. They're finishing really well, so again, their efficiency's really good with only 19 inside 50s to 33, but they're getting opportunities. They've had 9 shots on goal from those 19, so pretty low inside 50 count.
Yeah, well, they had 15 to 10 that quarter, so they at least arrested what was looking like an avalanche in that first quarter, wasn't it? And they were able to get a bit of field position out of centre bounce, but also around the ground. Their mids really got going. You know, Kelly had a terrific quarter. Hopper starting to get a bit of the footy, so they just started to win a bit more of the footy around the scrimmages, around the little games within a game, around the ground, and then got their running going, got a bit of spread going, and got a little bit more competitiveness from their forwards ahead of the ball as well, which was critical. Even early in that quarter, they were allowing too many intercept marks from Port Adelaide, so they got a bit more. They got a bit more from their forwards ahead of the ball, and it put them into positions to be able to score. And they don't look like they're going to score freely, the Giants. They look like they're having a scrap and fight for their goals, but credit to them, they worked hard and they did, and they even that Mumford goal really a perfect example of it late in that quarter. So great effort, because I was with you, Beej, at quarter time or even early in that second. I was thinking, this could be a 10 or 12 goaler for the Power, and look, in a sense that's still the criticism or the question mark around Port a bit, isn't it? That they had such dominance and yet they couldn't put a team away who, on paper it looks like they're a fair bit better than. But well done to the Giants. They ground away, as you said, and give themselves a real chance in the second half.
They clearly dominated that last, say, 10, 12 minutes where you look at the stat sheet, the inside 50s are actually one-sided towards Port, but the rest of it now is kind of pretty even. So just because of the dominance through that last 10 and 12 minutes from GWS, because it was all about Port Adelaide, particularly in the first quarter, and then 5 to 8 minutes in that second. So a really good fight back. There was a response. The midfielders are really good players. As you highlighted, Bally really got amongst it, found the footy, and when good players generally touch a footy, good things tend to happen.
Just four goals in the opening term, 11 in the second. Which of the coaches would think that's not the style we really want to play?
Well, I think it's more about Port would be in that, I think, frame of mind, position they're in the ladder, knowing what's ahead, how they want to play, how they need to play come finals time. So, GWS would be really happy that they're only within 8 points, considering how much dominance Port had. But saying that, I don't think they would want to get in too many shootouts, would they? Look, so we might see, like on most occasions, they've got now time to assess it, pass on messages to the players at half-time, a bit more time to do that. So I think the second half now is going to look somewhat completely different to what we're seeing here in the first 2 quarters. Yeah,
you'd obviously favour Port if it came down to a shootout.
Giants have probably got the contest, maybe Port the outside run.
Yeah. Although that quarter, the Giants, I thought, controlled the outside of the contested situations pretty well. So, which they did last week, and they were able to go on with it against the Bombers through the middle of the ground.
They did really well against Melbourne as well.
Yeah,
beat Melbourne by maximising the loose in Stephen May, tried to make that Lockie Whitfield as much as they could, and got Melbourne on the outside.
Yep, and Josh Kelly's starting to play like he was, a couple of years ago when he was talked about as being a top 10 player in the comp. So that's great to see. Hopper's having a consistent year, and they're getting some cameos from Daniels and a few others around the footy as well. So good effort. They really did even things up around the footy and sort of get their nose in front. They're going to have to do it again because you know that Port are going to keep coming at you or keep driving the ball, keep scoring. So hopefully it's an entertaining second half as well.
They're ranked number 1 in the competition in the stat for defending ball movement. So I saw these set of numbers come out during the week for ball movement for and defending ball movement. Their ball movement is actually ranked 16th in the competition. So
the Giants?
The power, which is
okay.
unusual. A lot of their chains come out of a defensive half, which is sort of against the trend of the competition.
Yeah.
It's generally been forward half scoring. But they do restrict other teams, so they're set up really well when they don't have the footy. They're actually conceding only 69 points a game this year, which is towards the top end of the competition.
Yeah, that's interesting because a couple of years ago they made their name defending in the front half, didn't they? So that's been a bit of a shift that they're relying. You think about Alear and even McKenzie and Jonas, they're relying on having to defend in the back half. I'm not sure that's a sustainable game to play either, Beach. Against the top teams, I don't think that's going to work come the point into the season. So they'll need to look at that, I think, and even that up a bit. And that's certainly the Giants' way, as you said. They're not great at all at defending from a turnover. So interesting. It's been an interesting strategic battle as well. But from a bigger picture side of things, Power need to try and turn that round a bit, I think.
So Port Adelaide leading by 8 points at half-time. Fremantle have led for 3 and a bit quarters in Perth, but all of a sudden Richmond have kicked 3 goals to none in the final term. The Dockers have come to a complete stop. 6-5-51 Richmond to the Dockers 5-12-42. So as it stands at the moment, the Tigers would jump inside the top 8 and the Giants would fall out if Port Adelaide were to be victorious this afternoon. So plenty to work our way through, but for the moment, let's get the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
ABC News headlines with Satyam Weinstein. New South Wales has recorded 239 new locally acquired COVID cases in the latest reporting period, the equal highest number of daily cases since the pandemic began. The source of more than half of the new infections is under investigation. At least 61 were in the community for all or part of their infectious period. There are another 9 community COVID cases connected to Brisbane's Indooroopilly State High School cluster. 11 local government areas in southeast Queensland are in lockdown until at least Tuesday. Thousands of student staff and families from several Brisbane schools are in quarantine. All of Victoria's 4 new local coronavirus cases were in isolation during their infectious period. The 4 new local cases are all linked to the current outbreak. It comes after a second traffic controller from the Moonee Valley COVID testing site returned a positive result after carpooling with an infected colleague. New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern has apologised to her country's Pacific Islands community for racially targeted immigration raids in the 1970s that resulted in the deportation and prosecution of many people. And at the halfway point in competition at the Tokyo Olympics, Australia sits in 4th place on the medal tally behind China, the USA and Japan. Australia's won 14 gold, 3 silver and 14 bronze for a total of 31 medals and sits ahead of the Russian Olympic Committee team and Great Britain in 5th and 6th position. ABC News.
On Hard Quiz, only the most important facets of human knowledge are put to the test.
Which US rapper's name sounds like a brand of colourful chocolate?
Topics chosen are critical to the evolution of the human race.
The palindrome rotator is what word spelled backwards?
And experts are treated with the utmost respect.
Well, I'm afraid your parachute hasn't opened this time. You are plummeting to earth.
Catch Tom Gleeson with all new episodes of Hard Quiz. Back Wednesday, August 18 on ABC TV and streaming on iView.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Or chop it off at half forward, gives it to Burton, kicks inside 50. Giorgiardi second in line. Tremendous contested mark. No second-year blues for this kid. Mitch Giorgiardi slots it. Finds Taranto, links up by hand with Daniels from 60 out against the boundary line. Kicks to the top of the goal square. Nice work, Reid pumps it down to Toby Green, who kicks it from the goal square.
Got it to Amon. The half after winds inside 50. Trav Boak sliding in front position. Travis Boak gained 301. Great kick from 45 metres out, showing no signs of slowing down. And Port Adelaide stretch it out to a 21-point advantage.
Ball bobbles around and then spits out in the direction of Ward. Hand pass over to Lloyd. Lloyd, clean look at them from 45 out, kicks it on the run.
Travis Boker, surrounded by two Giants, gathers and kicks towards half forward. Into the path of Butters, a beautiful pass. He gathers in the right forward pocket. A bouncing shot on goal and a great finish. Electric pace from Port Adelaide. Could we have a shootout at the Docklands this afternoon? Want to give the hand pass to Reid. Now into the pocket, the hand pass to Taranto. Trying to get back on his right-hand side. Snaps on goal. That's a great finish. Tim Taranto with top-class finish.
With a centering pass, Perryman goes up in the air, spills down to Lloyd, kicks to the top of the goal square. Himmelberg, clever, cuts it back to Mummy, and Mummy snaps it through for a major. And all of a sudden, it's down to single digits.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
11 goals scored in that second quarter, in which GWS booted 6, Port Adelaide 5, but the Power with an 8-point advantage at half-time, 8-4-52 for the Giants, 7-2-48. 7-2-44. It's been an incredible day of events from the Australian Olympic team at Tokyo. The man keeping us across everything that's happened and everything that's to come tonight is Ned Hall. Ned, welcome back.
Thanks, Clinchy. Best day ever. 4 gold medals for Australia for the first time ever, and a day of Olympic competition. Kicked off in the pool this morning, the final day of swimming competition, and what's been an extremely successful swimming gala from the Australian team. 9 gold medals is the end total from the swimming pool, and a huge component of Australia's success, Emma McKeon picking up the first of them today in the 50 metres freestyle. She broke the Olympic record in the process too, as she did on her previous 2 swims in the event. Kate Campbell came 7th. The pair then backed up for Australia and swam Australia to gold in the medley relay, 4x100 medley relay, along with Kaylee McKeon and Chelsea Hodges. Kate Campbell brought the team home and just got there before the Chinese. It means, though, that Emma McKeon is now Australia's most successful ever Olympian. 11 Olympic medals she owns, 2 clear of Ian Thorpe and Liesl Jones. And she's only the second woman ever to pick up 7 medals in one Olympics. Maria Goroskovia in 1952 in the gymnastics picked up 2 gold and 5 silver. So an incredible personal performance from Emma McKeon, and she sits just ahead of Germany on the overall medal table. Elsewhere, Logan Martin picked up gold in the BMX freestyle final. Superb first ride from him meant that his second ride, he didn't really need to complete it, and he didn't in the end. Tried off a few more spectacular tricks and then celebrated picking up the gold medal for Australia. And then a medal that's been in the bag since Friday night, Matt Wern in the men's laser class sailing. Only need to get his boat wet today. He came second, though, as it was, in the race to further enforce his dominance in that class. It's the 3rd consecutive Olympics that Australia has won gold in the men's laser class, and there may be another medal in the works in the men's 470 class. The pairing of Belcher and Ryan are in the gold medal position after 8 of their 10 races, plus the medal race still to come, but looking good for a medal there too. Waterhouse and Darmanin also in 4th place ahead of the medal race in the mixed NACRA sailing race. And now in the equestrian, Australia's team are in 2nd place overall at the moment after the cross-country today. The dressage has already been completed. That's Shane Rose, Andrew Hoy and Kevin McNabb, but they are well placed there. And the Kookaburras are into the semi-finals of the men's hockey after they beat the Netherlands earlier on today. They'll now take on Germany in the last 4 of that competition. Now, the golf finished up this afternoon. In the end, it wasn't quite enough from Cam Smith. His final round, 5 under par, 66, finished in a share of 10th spot. The gold was taken out by Xander Schauffele, the American. Rory Sabatini shot a 10 under par round of 61 to take out the silver medal there. The bronze medal eventually went to CT Pan of Taiwan after an 8-player playoff for bronze that went down through 4 holes before he was the last man standing there. Now, into the athletics. Tonight is a huge night at the Athletics Stadium, and already today we've seen Amy Cashin, Genevieve Gregson and Georgia Whincup in the 3,000 metre steeplechase action. Amy Cashin and Genevieve Gregson have progressed as fastest losers there. Brooke Stratton's into the final of the women's long jump after her jump of 6 metres 60 earlier on today. And Steve Solomon's into the semi-finals of the men's 400 metres, setting a personal best, and expect set a personal best in his heat, but he won't progress. So to what is on tonight. Starting in about 35 minutes' time, the athletics for this evening, the men's high jump final featuring Brandon Stark, and then Rowan Browning in the men's 100 metres semi-finals, aiming to be the first Australian through to the final of the 100 metres since 1956. There's 3 semi-finals. Fastest 2 go through automatically, and then 2 fastest losers will make the rundown for tonight's final, and the final will be at about 10 to 11 Australian Eastern time. Also in tonight's athletics, Liz Clay in the 100 metres hurdles semi-final, and then 3 Australians competing in the 800 metres semi-finals for men: Charlie Hunter, Peter Boll and Jeff Risley. The Australian Stingers are in action against South Africa in the water polo, and finally beach volleyball tonight. Marialfa Atacho del Sola and Taliqua Clancy are taking on the Chinese pairing in the round of 16, and that is the latest from Tokyo.
Oh, Ned, nicely done, giving us everything we need to know. So Rowan Browning in that 100 metres semi-final, 8:23 Australian Eastern time. Tonight, I'm sure everyone will be trying to find a TV to watch that. So much to keep you across. And we've actually just started a new newsletter for our online department, so abc.net.au/sport if you'd like to sign up. So each week the ABC team will deliver you all the latest sporting news, a nice little wrap of the weekend. So if you want to sign up for that, abc.net.au/sport is the way in which to do so. Twists and turns in the West. A goal for the Fremantle Dockers through Caleb Sarong. They lead by 4 points, 7-13-55 to the Tigers, 6-15-51. Just under 5 minutes to go. The Tigers are 8th. Now the Dockers are 8th. And a chance for the Giants to go 8th, or stay 8th if they beat Port Adelaide. Or it's all in the air.
Or if the game's a draw, there's still a chance that the Giants could remain 8th on the table. They would need a few percentage points to go their way. So, there's a heap to work through, isn't there, in the next, 2 quarters of footy here and 5 minutes over in Perth. Who'd have thought, Clenchy, 5 games on a Sunday, and here we are hanging out over the last 2 quarters to work out who's going to be in the top 8 at the end of the weekend.
I was going to say, this would be right in your wheelhouse as an American sports fan. Put them on, 5 on a Sunday, we love it.
Correct.
Fremantle Dockers in their old heritage jersey is not a bad look either. The NRL round 20, like the AFL with the events in Queensland yesterday, the snap 3-down lockdown meant they had to schedule 3 games today and 2 games tomorrow. So the match taking place at the moment, 44 minutes gone. It's the South Sydney Rabbitohs leading St George Illawarra 24 points to 10. Earlier it was the Melbourne Storm 37-10 over the Penrith Panthers. So the Storm from strength to strength. And the Newcastle Knights defeated the Canberra Raiders 34-24. So tomorrow night the Canterbury Bulldogs take on the Gold Coast Titans and the Cronulla Sharks and the Manly Seagulls in a doubleheader tomorrow night. What else do we need to keep you across? The SMS, we did have a question coming through from Grant in Waterloo as to whether...
This is Corby's, mate.
Whether some of the
tourists,
interstate teams would be disappointed they didn't get the chance to play at the MCG. Obviously, Essendon and Sydney playing at the MCG, while the Gold Coast Melbourne game, a doubleheader with Port Adelaide and GWS. His point was, given that Port Adelaide and the Giants are fighting for a finals position, should they be playing at the MCG? As players, do you ever care as to where you play, especially when there's no crowd?
No, I mean, I never experienced the no crowd thing. But yeah, I think if you're an interstate team, you'd probably, and you want to play at the MCG at the end of September, you'd probably prefer to play there. But last time I checked, Sydney and Essendon were fighting to play in the finals too, weren't they?
Yep.
So
maybe play a doubleheader there rather than here.
Right,
but
okay,
I think the argument is TV have a bit of a say in it, and they normally pick which game they want leading into
the Channel 7 live game. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which, clearly with Essendon, they're always probably going to win out there. But it's a fair question.
I prefer to come here any day of the week. You've got a roof, you don't have to be worried about weather. Or,
August, yeah.
Yeah, this time of year, it's give me Marvel Stadium any day.
I think Port play well there. I thought they would have been. I reckon they would have been happy to come here, but I think the players have been great, haven't they? Just their ability to, and clearly, again, it is as they all say, it is what it is, and control what you can, and that's all they have to do. And I'm sure the sports psychs are always getting a workout at every club about doing just that and being present and just.
Let's be honest, they're prepared for this. Prepared for the worst, and this is the worst case scenario for a lot of teams travelling, having to stay on the road, the uncertainties of where they're going to be, next week or where the game's going to play. They prepared for all this, and they've essentially gone through it in a way, so they're better off for it. And I think that I agree with Luke. They're dealing with it in a great way, and you haven't heard the players really complain or anything. Right. They're just getting on with things and dealing with the situation as it goes. And
It's nice to see a crowd in Perth, though, isn't it?
Isn't it?
It's almost weird, isn't it?
Tassie yesterday with 10,000 in there. So under 2 minutes to go in the West. The Dockers hanging on to a 4-point advantage over the Tigers. So we'll keep you close across that in the dying stages. Here at Docklands, it's Port Adelaide by 8 points over the Giants as players are in position, and we're just about ready to go. So what will we see in the second half after an 11-goal second term in which the Giants were able to close the gap? Here's Corbin Middlemass.
Port have won their last 25 games when leading at half-time. They're protecting an 8-point lead here as we go into the second half. Lycett palms it down to Boak. Boak trying to get a kick away. He's tackled by Mumford. Spills to Ward. His hand pass was meant for Kelly. Butters steals it, though, still inside the centre square. Hand pass eventually comes to Lycett. He gives it to Wines. Wines kicks inside the forward 50 for Port. Davis underneath it. Spills down to Fantasia. Hand pass over his shoulder to half-forward for Port. Gives it off to Laddams. Laddams rolling onto his left boot to snap for 4. He misses.
Is it low centre of gravity again, Beach?
Low centre of gravity. Sold some candy.
They're agile.
I said that. That's the strength he has, and I think that's why they can afford to play the Lycett Laddams dual ruckman, because he offers a bit more as a resting ruckman as a forward.
Haynes to Cumming out of defence, and now to Lockie Ash. Had the job at various stages on Travis Boak in the first half, but won't move to half forward and seem to break that tag. Now out for Kelly at right half back. Port Adelaide by 9 points a minute into the third term. Kelly with a long ball up to the city wing. Spoiled away from Mumford by Aaliyah. Front and centre is Amon. Gets the hand pass to Bonner for Port Adelaide. Drives a kick towards half forward. Laddams flew, couldn't come down with the mark. And Cummings swoops onto it for the Giants. Kick to Perryman, had to wait a moment as Dursma closed late. And the Giants had a chance to try and move it as Peatling on debut takes it on the Docks wing.
Sweeping hand pass to Lloyd, so the Giants up into the front half. The kick here is superb and finds Toby Green backpedaling and marking against the boundary line at left half forward. And Toby Green's going to have a set shot here. He's looking to snap on the outside of his right boot. He's going to run around, take on the man on the mark. He snaps goalward. Has it got the trip? Not quite. Still alive. Top of the goal square for the Giants. Hand pass from Burne-Jones picked out. Taranto gives it away to Hogan. Goes back by hand to Perryman. Inside to Hopper. Back to Green for another crack at it. Snaps from 40 out. Same spot. He hits the fat part of the footy. Across the goal face. Still alive forward pocket for GWS. Bergman collects. He's tackled. Lost it. Taranto slick hands away to Kelly. Pushed off his kick. And now Port Adelaide can work it out of the defensive arc as Amon away to Butters. He draws the defender and gives it back to Amon across the back flank for Port.
A victory for Fremantle by 4 points over the Tigers, 7-13-55 to Richmond 6-15-51. So the Dockers had 23-6 clearances in that final term. We're going to get 50 here.
Yeah, it was a beautiful kick inside from Josh Kelly, who's becoming a bit of a problem here for the Power. They might need to look at sending a Drew or someone to him. He's having an influence, and who was it? Was that Ollie Wines? Who came in?
I think it was Dan Houston.
Houston's been unsighted today.
Yeah, he has, He came in late and was a little bit undisciplined. And Dan Lloyd again. That's not the bloke you want to be giving 50 metres to.
So he's pretty much directly in front, 25 metres out. Had an ankle concern early in the match. This is a chance to kick his third. Back with a vengeance. Lloyd comes in and steers it through the middle. Dan Lloyd with his third. And the Giants close the gap to 3 points at the 3-minute mark of the third term. Port Adelaide 8-5-53 to the Giants 8-2-50. On ABC Sport, you're with Brendan Goddard and Luke Ball.
Yeah, they're again right in it. It's been a bit of an arm wrestle here, and this first 3.5 minutes hasn't been a lot of clean ball, but as you may mention, a bit of class from Kelly just finding that inside 45 kick, and then Dan Houston has not been sighted. Generally, he's the guy providing a bit of run and bounce off half-back for Port Adelaide. And he's one of those guys you want the ball in his hands because he makes really good decisions, really good kick. So maybe they're putting some time into him to not allow him to do that. But he's now standing aside Toby Green, so maybe he's just got his hands full with him, as you probably understand. So right in this, only 3 points now. So we've got a game on our hands.
Back in the middle, Mumford, first hands on it, down to Ward, hand pass away to Hopper. High up and under, still inside the centre circles. Ash trying to get there at the drop. It spills to Amon. Hurried kick out of the centre square.
Free kick.
Davis pushed out of the way by Laddams, and a free kick to Phil Davis at centre half back. So just recapping, Fremantle by 4 points over Richmond. They're in the top 8. It means the Giants need to win here to maintain their spot in the 8 at the end of round 20. They've kicked the last 3 of the game. Davis seeks the mismatch and kicks to Haynes, who outmarks Butters at half-back. Nick Haynes, the All-Australian best and fairest winner. Long down the wing. Laddams. In fact, it was Lycett spills the mark, falls out to Burn-Jones. He snaps the kick down the wing. Butters chasing after it, and the boundary line beats them all, so a throw-in between wing and half-forward for the Power. Port by 3 points, 8-5. GWS 8-2. 5 minutes into the third term, Port Adelaide having conceded the last 3 goals of the game.
Tanner Bruin and Boyd Woodcock, the respective subs for their sides not required so far. Travis Boat gets the clearance. Hand pass to Dursma for Port Adelaide. Inside 50, Dixon the target. Haynes flew, couldn't come down with a footy, and Cal Ward is tackled out of play.
Pickney for holding the ball.
Jeez, did he have much of an opportunity there?
Well, you could...
One of the line.
Yeah, you could argue he took on the tackler, but I think the tackle... I think the ball burst straight out in the tackle, so he's a bit stiff, but this guy's been great again. Carl Amon.
Kicked some big goals as well, Carl Amon.
It's a beautiful left shoe. What's he had? He's up there. This will be his 20th.
Ken Hinkley said he's one of his great success stories from the right forward pocket. Every reason to believe in him. Carl Amon splits the middle. Seen some great goal kicking here at Docklands on a long round 20. And Port Adelaide answer back to a 9-point advantage. 9-5-59 to the Giants, 8-2-50. 6 minutes gone, third term.
Yeah, we had a chat to him a couple of weeks, didn't we, Corbs, after doing their game at the G against Collingwood, I think. And just chatted about his progression as a player and now playing a little bit more as an inside mid, getting opportunity there, but continually working on his game. Because remember, his name was brought up a couple of years ago now about a move back to Melbourne. I think he was tied to North strongly at one stage. So stuck with Port Adelaide. He's really progressed the game. For mine, he's a legitimate wingman now. So for me, he's an All-Australian wingman.
Yeah, I agree. It has to be in the consideration. Yeah.
For a guy that plays there consistently, I don't want to see this year that they chuck an inside midfielder out in the wing just because they want to fit one more in. They've got to reward these guys that play there consistently. For me, he's right at the top of the list.
Lycett wins the tap. The footy comes back to him at ground level. Gives it to Wines, to Boat, to Drew, all by hand. He's alongside the centre circles. Boat kicks inside the forward 50, and Taylor in front of Dixon takes the chest mark. Intercept mark for the G-men. 9-point lead for Port Adelaide. The Giants close within 3, having trailed by as many as 21 in the second quarter. In fact, it was more than that, 28 in the second quarter. Long kick down to the wing. Out it comes, the back door towards Daniels, who's off and running. Puts on the afterburners, 2 bounces, kicks deep to a one-on-one. Himmelberg and Aaliyah. Himmelberg went without it. Aaliyah bangs it back out of the defensive 50. Peatley went for the fly on the back of Butters. Didn't come down with it, barely touched it. Spills to O'Halloran. Hand pass to Kelly, kicks inside 50. Aaliyah spoils into the lap of Bonner for Port. He kicks very wide, he kicks too wide. It's out on the full and a free kick for GWS, 60 out left half forward. That was the climb from James Peatley.
Huge. Pretty good.
That's high.
Just trying to get some spark into the game, Beach.
It's 20-year-old spark out there. There's no crowd, mate.
Yeah, he's been good.
Yeah, we need a crowd. Kelly sends the Giants deep into attack. Himmelberg flew, couldn't come down with the mark. Ollie Wines back to Birdman, top of the defensive goal square, and now to Riley Bonner for Port Adelaide. Kicks towards Orazio Fantasia, used his body against Haynes, and then kicks it forward, trying to link up with Marshall, who toe-poked it away from Davis, who almost picked up the footy. He runs the outer city wing, trying to tap it back to Fantasia. Got it to him. Bit of the Tigers about this as they surge it into attack. Dixon the target, spoiled by Taylor. They fight for it at ground level. Ash gets there first, couldn't get a clearing hand pass. Dixon works out of it. Hand pass away for the Giants out of defence. And a chance for Ash to clear it left half back.
Ash kicks to a one-on-one, not a great kick. Port Adelaide with the numbers. Wines runs onto the loose footy. Straightens up to Jonas, who drops to his knees and marks defensive side of the wing. Port Adelaide by 9 points. Jonas will come wide with the kick to Amon. They played 4 of their last 5 games, Port, here at Docklands, including the last 3. They've won all of them. Trying to turn a 9-point lead into a victory here tonight as Wines closes to 70 out and then laces out Dixon. Out to meet it, marks at half forward, and he'll shoot on a 45-degree angle from just inside 50.
No, it was a slow build-up, but it was a good finish. Floated to Charlie Dixon in the end, but it was lowering the eyes. It was one of the first time this quarter where he's out in the lead and they actually hit him on the chest. Orazio Fantasia had a chance out on the far wing just to hit Charlie up, who had separation from Taylor and just sat it on top of his head. So good to see them actually hit a target just on the lead going inside 50.
He's got a couple so far, Charlie Dixon. Starts it out to the right goalpost. It misses. The near side or behind.
Spoke about Josh Kelly's game. Ollie Wines, there's nothing flashy about him. He just keeps going, doesn't he? He just keeps getting to where the ball is. He's having some sort of year. I think he's a podium Brownlow medal chance.
Wow.
Up to 22.
Port Adelaide by 10 points. Whitfield with a long kick into the middle of the ground. Spoiled away. Green gets onto it. Half pass to Himmelberg, who runs to right half forward. They've got Sam Reid out the back. He can't take the mark. Tries to gather. McKenzie comes in, able to knock it forward to Hogan. And the Giants do get the goal eventually as Hogan kicks his second from the goal line. Margin back to 4 points Port Adelaide's way. A roller coaster third quarter. It's Port Adelaide 9-6-60. Hold a slender lead over the Giants 9-2-56.
He's a bit sore, Sam Reid. He nearly made a complete meal of it, didn't he? That was... we're not used to seeing that. Magnificent ball movement, wasn't it, from the Giants end to end?
Coast
to
end.
And that sort of stuff will be just concerning Ken a bit and the coaching staff.
It's happened both teams.
Yeah, the game's open right up, doesn't it? But, that won't please him. And we spoke about both teams. He looks a bit sore, Sam Reid, but we spoke about both teams, not preference, but they're defending out of their back half more this year, whereas, Power, it's such a swing from a couple of years ago where they were such a forward half team. So that's a good example of it there, their inability to stop the opposition in transition, and he looks really sore. So it's amazing how many amount of times that someone hurts themselves having made a simple skill error or something like that. It does. It happens all the time. But hopefully he's not too bad.
Upon yourself.
Yeah, hopefully he's okay. He looks sore.
It's amazing how many of the scoring chains we've seen started out of the back half, as we've touched on so far. And again, another one there is GWS up to 9-2, Port Adelaide 9-6. Power by 4 points. Lice it back in the middle, wins the tap, and then follows up with the clearance. Kicks in the Marshall direction. Can't mark, spills front and centre to Rosie. Spins out of the Kelly tackle. Hand pass to Drew. Standing start. Kicks right to the behind line. Wines competes, can't mark, and out of play it goes. Forward pocket for the Power. Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
Sam Reid's taken straight down to the race. The medical sub, Tanner Bruin, warming up for probably the third or fourth time today. He's had a few trials, but not got on the ground yet. We'll keep you posted on what happens with Sam Reid.
Thanks, Mitch. Throw in. Todd Marshall worked out of it by Tom Green. The second ruck for the Giants. He kicks the half back and Taranto in front. Takes the mark in front of Riley Bonner for Port Adelaide.
It's where you'd like to see him giving it to someone running past, but instead he goes back and sideways.
Port Adelaide by 4 points. Taranto wide to Callum Ward. He now chips it inboard to Kelly. Possession number 23 coming up for him. Ollie Wines has had 22. Who would you say has been the more damaging?
Neck and neck. I think Kelly just.
Taylor receives it for the Giants and kicks out to Iden. He takes the mark at right half back. He wants to switch play again, back to where it came. Where Haynes and Taylor almost make a meal of it. Eventually, Taylor leaves it for Haynes as the preferred ball user. He gets it to Whitfield at left half back. Now comes inboard with a kick to Perryman. The Giants trying to get some run at half back. Kicks it to Kelly. Haven't moved from half back. And now the run of Haynes, who receives the hand pass. Kicks it long towards Himmelberg. One-on-one with Jonas. Himmelberg spoils it down, trying to link up with Hopper. A chance still for Himmelberg. Dragged down by Jonas. Burne-Jones onto it for Port Adelaide. Hand pass to Butters. Good composure with a great kick where there wasn't much space. He finds Dersma at half back for Port.
The 21-year-old Dersma. Second game back. Previous to that, hadn't played since round 4. Long kick down the wing. Dixon stands tall and marks in a pack of 3. He's got it right on halfway for Port Adelaide. Power by 4. 14 played third term. Fremantle winning by 4 points over in the west over Richmond, so as a result they're in the top 8 as it stands at the moment on the live ladder. Here's Pau Pepper, wins the footy, his first touch since the opening term, kicks inside the forward 50, Georgiades can't mark, spills to Laddens, hand passes a turnover to Tom Green, gives it to Ward and he kicks off centre half back for the Giants.
Up towards Himmelberg, couldn't take the mark against the Lear, and Butters front and centre, kicks to Sam Pau Pepper. A couple of disposals in quick succession.
Had 3 in the opening quarter, didn't have one at all in the second. He was best on ground the last time they met, got top votes in the Brown line.
Plays sort of the high half forward role for Port Adelaide, kicks towards Charlie Dixon. Green was right there with him. A chance for Rosie for Port Adelaide, got it to Laddams, who's kicked 3 already. Kicks into the corridor, Bergman forced to spoil from behind. A chance for Hopper for the Giants, gets it to Peatling, who's been good on debut for the Giants, number 45. Out of defence up to Taranto, who marks on the city wing at right half back.
There's a few more Port Adelaide jumpers back and the orange ones for the Giants. And he's going to look inside the centre square. Great kick, perfect placement. It opens up for Hopper among a number of power players. Lays a hand pass off to O'Halloran, kicks inside the forward 50, and Toby Green takes the sprawling mark, 30 out, dead in front. Well, they had to wait for the opening, but a perfect kick from Taranto found Hopper. And the setup from O'Halloran was just as good.
It's happening a little bit too often for Port Adelaide, where they look like they've got them kind of hemmed in and slowed them down, but GWS are making the ground really big, and then there's all these spots and little angles and 45s opening up really late, and GWS are doing a good job at hitting them. It was really good movement in the 45. I don't know who it was, but it was Pau Pepper that he dragged out of that space to allow Hopper then to lead into, and it was the bravery of the kick and then open up the whole game. And great run.
And a second for Todd. It's touched on the way through. He kicked it into the man on the mark and clipped the fingers of Tom Jonas on the way through, so it sailed through for a goal, but it was touched en route. A minor score. That's a rare error from Toby Green.
He's just been a little bit off. A couple of times he's been off with his timing, flying for marks, and that's a bad error, isn't it? 25 metres out.
Been quarantined for 2 weeks.
Yeah, it would have put the Giants in front, Port Adelaide by 3.
Mackenzie's long kick out of defence towards Dixon, spoiled away.
Oh, great effort.
Quick kick inside the 50. Jonas put the block. Here's Toby Green again. Fires on goal and misses to the left-hand side. He's had a couple of cracks here in this third quarter. Just hasn't been able to strike gold, and Port Adelaide's lead is 2 points. 1 goal, 3 for Toby Green. Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
Up from the rooms, giving that ankle a run through at the moment, a couple of painkillers, still in a bit of discomfort, but it looks like he will continue. Interestingly, one of the doctors making the calls for the Giants right now is former Cats doctor Jeff Allen, who's been called in at last-minute notice given this game was moved. That's just the moving nature of the season.
Trent Mackenzie's kick out ends up in the centre square. Ward chops it off, goes to Hogan, who takes a strong mark centre half forward for the Giants.
They're doing a good job, Giants, here, just keeping it in their front half. Really good forward entries, compressing the ground, forcing the long kick from Port Adelaide out of defence. They don't have any time and space to make decisions.
Take the shot, Jesse. You're the key forward. He's got all these little... No.
He wants to pass it off. He hits up. Toby Green out on the lead. And Toby's going to get another crack at it. 30 out, straight in front.
Port would be filthy with this. Kenny was sitting out there pulling whatever hair he's got left out of that melon. But that youth can't let that happen. There was space there to lead into, which is more concerning. Isn't it, Bally? That in a slow play like that, Port Adelaide have got to be switched on. That's a sign that
a bit off.
They're a little bit off. So that space shouldn't be there for Toby even to lead into.
So 1-3 is kicking so far. Toby Green skips in, stabs at the drop punt. Momentum with the Giants, and now the lead is 2. For the first time since the opening quarter, GWS are in front. A 4-point lead for the Giants. Toby with his second of the day. And Greater Western Sydney 10-4-64. Port Adelaide 9-6-60. 19 played third term.
Just dominating field position, as you said, Beach. All of a sudden, the tables have turned. It's like the power in that first quarter. They're not able to get the ball or to rebound the ball out of their back half, and the Giants are dominating through the middle of the ground. So they really need to make the most of this little period of dominance here, because you know it's a momentum game these days. But this little period here where they're right on top, they need to try and put a few goals on Port to really put the pressure on them. And now it's over to Port's, gun mids to see if they can respond in the middle of the ground.
Luke Ball with you on ABC Sport. Fremantle won by 4 points over the Tigers. They jumped inside the 8 for the moment. If Giants can win here, they'll remain in 8th position. A chance for Port Adelaide in the middle of the ground. Ladham's got a little toe poke to half forward, but Perryman intercepts for the Giants. Hand pass back to Haynes, and now to Peatley.
Good Peatley.
At full pelt, hugs the boundary line with a kick towards Ash, and it's forward out of play by Riley Bonner in front of the Port Adelaide bench.
Yeah, he looks at home, doesn't he, the young fella?
Slotted in nicely across half-back.
We keep talking about a win here for the Giants. Quenchy will put them in the 8, and given the result between the Dockers and Richmond, in a cruel twist for Port Adelaide, if they win, they would have beaten the bottom 10 team. If they lose, they've lost to another top 8 side.
Chance for Bergman. Following the clash of bodies, Mumford following his rough work. Boak's hand pass pinched by Peatling. Getting better as the game continues towards Taranto. Almost had enough of the footy. And then Daniel slips over. He's tackled by Willem Drew. A chance for Ryan Burton. Gets a hand pass out to Eamon in the middle of Docklands. Back to Bergman. He feeds the hand pass into space now. Rosie gets the hand pass to Carl Lamont. He kicks inside the 50. Marshall one-on-one with Davis. And Todd Marshall rises to the highest point and comes down with the mark.
It was a big contested footy in the middle of the ground there, wasn't it, Peach? And they just got a bit too beast to the honeypot, the GWS. And in the end, they left the play. They lost their balance around the contest, left the Port players over the top. It was a nice bit of work. Who was it? Young Bergman to handball over that congestion. And then Eamon was away, and he's a really good kick inside 50 with space.
So Todd Marshall kicked 3 goals last week against Collingwood. Yet to hit the scoreboard this afternoon from the right forward pocket, 35 metres out. That is a superb finish. Calm and composed as he drove it straight through the middle. Port Adelaide take back the lead by 2 points. We might have the best game still to come. The Power 10-6-66 to the Giants 10-4-64. 21 minutes gone, third term. You're with Brendan Goddard and Luke Ball.
Yeah, well, it's fair to say that goes against the tide, that goal there, with the dominance that GWS have had the last 5 or 6 minutes. And Jim said that they just lost their balance on the outside, and the overlap, it went to Rosie, that handball, and then he gave it on to Eamon, creating that overlap. And Marshall had a bit of room to move in, and the kick wasn't the best, but Marshall just read it best, and Davis just ran under the ball a little bit. But what a great finish too, that didn't look like missing. So hasn't had too many opportunities today, Marshall. He's just when he does, he's able to finish like that.
Of course, Port Adelaide's run, if you haven't caught up with it, they're 12-0 this year against bottom 10 teams. They're 1-5 against their fellow top 8 competitors. Another lead change, third of the game, 2 in a row. Port by 2, back in the middle. Will do it all again as the ruckmen lock each other up in the middle. Results already today. Freo by 4 points over Richmond, so they're provisionally in the top 8. Sydney, Hawthorn and Melbourne all winners. Back in the middle. Eventually it comes out to Dersmer on the outside of the stoppage. He's tackled, dispossessed. Boak had it. Tackled, dumped by Peatling. Pinged holding the ball. Advantage taken by Daniels. Hand pass to Kelly. The Giants forward again. Himmelberg flies. McKenzie spoils. Loose ball centre half forward for the Giants. Himmelberg collects. Sweeping hand pass and turnover. Houston in the back pocket. Away to Bergman. He gives it to Burton. Not a great option. Tried to put boot the ball. It falls at his feet and will have a ball up. He lays a tackle there in the forward pocket on Lloyd, so a ball up forward pocket here for Greater Western Sydney.
Got a sniff, haven't they? They're really swarming the Giants at the moment.
Mumford wins down the tap to Tom Green. The hand pass to Perryman, left forward pocket, fires on goal, but misses to the left. Port Adelaide's lead is 1 point at the 23-minute mark of the third term.
Sounds of the game.
Port Adelaide by 1.
20 instructions from the bench, isn't there? Hear that loud and clear.
23 travelled in the third. The kick comes from Jonas out wide to Houston.
Not Chad Corns, is it?
Kicks down the wing. No mark to Dixon. Taylor picks up the footy. Wrapped up by Wines. Taken to ground. Pinged holding the ball.
Great tackle.
Tough call.
Yeah.
Wines rewarded.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to reward a perfect tackle, which that was.
Hand pass to the run of Houston, who kicks his rocket inside the forward 50. Competing Pau Pepper spills front and centre towards Laddams. Hand pass to Butters. Pulls his kick into the corridor. Great vision. Georgiades marks. And Zach Butters happy with that. A beautiful kick just whipping it back inboard as he's falling out of play at right half forward. And a better look here for Mitch Georgiades.
Yeah, there's not too many players take that look that far inside. And secondly, when they do see it, and if they do, not too many guys have the ability just to pull that so far across his body and to find it. So great vision, great kick. Hopefully Georgiades can finish.
One already today, deliberate approach on the set shot. Georgiades moves in, the teenager has 2. And Port Adelaide up by 7. And the goal assist to Zach Butters, exactly what it deserved. 25 minutes into the third term, the power by 7.
Yeah, it was Wines again, really, wasn't it, that won the footy, the crucial contest. He's holding the ball, winning the free kick and pumping it forward. And Ladham's involved again at ground level. I think he's involved in more crumbs as a 200-centimetre player than anyone else in the competition, Pete Ladhams. He's so good but below his knees. And, yeah, as you said, Burge, a bit of brilliance from Zach Butters to set up the goal assist.
It's Cleary on the boundary.
Phil Davis has been on and off the ground a couple of times. The Docs and he just looking through an incident that happened earlier in the quarter around his neck. He keeps pointing to it, a bit of discomfort. He's just chatting through right now with the doctors.
Michael also in touch on the SMS, wondering who's playing on Toby Green. For the moment, he's got Ryan Burton. Michael, 0437 774 774. Mumford one down the tap. Ward got it. Hand pass to Peatling, who gets the hand pass away to Taranto. Kicks towards Toby Green. This time behind on Burton. The Port Adelaide defender takes the mark. Plays on. Green offers chase. Sends a long raking kick out on the City side wing. Fantasia takes the mark. Port Adelaide on the break. Dixon caught behind, although Taylor dropped the mark. Rosie tries to slide in against 2. Dragged down by Haynes. Cummings had a chance that it couldn't clear it. Still a chance for Port Adelaide. Running in, Orazio Fantasia. His kick is smothered. Well done by Peatling. A chance for Port Adelaide as they continue to knock it forward. Sam Powell-Pepper after it. Tackle when not in possession, trying to win a free kick. And Georgiades is now locked up just 15 metres out. No, he's not. He's penalised, holding the ball in. The umpire had a great view of that. And the Giants will take it 15 metres out from their defensive goal. Port Adelaide by 7 points, 11-6-72. The Giants 10-5-65. After Port Adelaide led by 8 at half-time.
We've called his name a bit, Paulie. James Peatling.
He's been terrific. He's just looked at home, hasn't he? He's just looked like he very much belongs and has been out there for a while.
So he kicks down the wing. Port with it back. Aim on. Hand pass away to Bonner. Along the ground, kicks down to half forward. Ashes hand pass and turnover. Bonner through traffic. Kicks it deep inside the forward 50. Taylor and Fantasia. And the taller Taylor takes the mark.
Taylor's turned himself into a really good player. He's really brave in his positioning.
Yeah, he's a gun.
Reads it really well in the air, but he's so... takes a lot of courage just to play that front position when you got so much space around you like he did then, and the one before where he was on Dixon, just to take his leading lane away, and then Razio Fantasia's got no other option, and it's really aggressive and strong.
He swings it to Iden and then to Haynes, who kicks down the outer wing, comes to Green, wanted a free kick for a high tackle, didn't get it. Ball rolls out to Ash, hand pass wide to Hopper, kicks down to half forward for the Giants, and Bonner whacks it out of play. So a throw in half forward for GWS.
Really onto that accentuate the high tackle now, aren't they, the umpires? For Green and a few others as well.
A serial offender, Green, of doing that, so good to see the umpires not fall for the old ducking and falling to the knees.
6 goals to 2 here at one stage and getting ugly for the Giants. They've been excellent from that point on. From the boundary throw-in, Hopper kicks inside 50. Himmelberg leading Alier in the chase of the footy. And Himmelberg hugs it to his chest. He'll get a set shot, 35 out, virtually straight in front.
And what they have been able to do since quarter time is take Alier's influence out of the game. They've just been able to keep him moving. Oh, no, he's not. He's going to go around the quarter?
I saw that.
Oh, no.
I was going to butt in, but he's... The last couple of weeks, mate, he's a bit yippy in front of
He's got the hook foot going, doesn't he? They all go to the one spot. Hopefully he can kick this, but they've been able to really make Alier accountable and almost... Oh, no.
Oh, he's called to play on. Had the blinkers on, took too long. Wines ran him down. Himmelberg with his hands out, can't believe it. So his set shot taken away from him. Port Adelaide win it on half-back. Lice it away to Butters. Loose footy here in the chase on forward. Oh, no, Taranto on his... backside looks a little sore. He hasn't joined in the play. Bonner for Port Adelaide kicks down the wing and Peatling takes an intercept mark for the Giants. So I'd say on the Channel 9 commentary, Clinchy, it's all happening. And And the kick inside 50 from Peatling right on the bell will do us for the opening quarter. There was a lot happening there in that last passage. Himmelberger, the set shot, took a heap of time thinking about snapping across the body, then decided to take the drop punt.
Gosh.
And the umpire in the end said, mate, you've taken too long, play on. Wines crunched him. And in the scrimmage that ensued, Taranto looks like he's hurt his left elbow. We'll get Mitch to keep an eye on that. He's with the trainers now. And we're done through 3 quarters. Port Adelaide by 7. So Port led by 15 at quarter time. They led by as many as 27 halfway through the second term. And then Port by just 8 at half time and now just 7 at 3-quarter time. The Giants have had the better of the play from that point on. Port Adelaide 11-6-72. GWS 10-5-65. The goal kickers, Clinchy quickly, 3 for Laddams, 2 for Dixon, 1 each to Marshall, Boak, Amon, Butters, Georgiades. While for GWS, Daniel Lloyd has 3, 2 for Toby Green, 2 for Jesse Hogan, and then 1 each to Ward, Taranto and Mumford.
A super Saturday of footy on Grandstand AFL. Earlier, Melbourne defeated the Gold Coast by 98 points. Hawthorn by 12 points over the Brisbane Lions. Sydney by 7 over Essendon. And the Dockers by 4 points against the Tigers. So Fremantle for the moment are inside the top 8. The Tigers have dropped to 11th spot on the AFL ladder. For listeners who didn't get to hear the end, here's the final 30 seconds.
Leach, final roll of the dice, you think. Kicks long inside forward 50. They fly from everywhere. Off hands, tumbles towards the boundary line. It'll be a throw-in at right full forward. There can't be long left. Just seconds remaining. Frio's lead 4 points.
Therefore, no free kicks here from Fremantle. He'd be really disciplined. Richmond have got to be on the move.
Darcy and Scholl. Darcy brings it down. Brayshaw runs through the congestion, gets it off to Walker. He's tackled. No prior opportunity.
Been huge, Brayshaw.
He has.
Huge.
Exceptional game. A ball up, 40 metres out. Time ticking down. Darcy brings it down. Brayshaw again, gets it on the boot. Kicks to the wing. In the Tracy direction, he can't take the mark. Coming through Collier. Fremantle give Richmond the heave-ho in their heritage jumper. At least for now, the Dockers are into the 8th. They win a thriller in the West by 4 points over the 2-time reigning defending champs.
Ben Cameron with the dying stages there on ABC Sport. So the Tigers had hit the lead in the final term with the opening 3 goals, and then the Dockers finished with the last 2. Sarong and Schultz, they dominated the clearances, 23-6 in the final term, and eventually hung on by 4 points, as you could hear, a thrilling final minute or so, 7-13-55 to the Tigers 6-15-51. So all of a sudden, Richmond, many thought they might just find a way to squeeze into the top 8, but they've won just 2 of their last 5 games, and it's starting to get hard now for Richmond. Port Adelaide leading by 7 points against the Giants, 11-6-72 to GWS 10-5-65. Matt Clinch and Colbert Middlemass call the action. Brendan got out and loop ball to try and tell us what's going to take place.
What's going to take place is we've got a nice tight game on our hands, and it's not quite the shootout that we had in the first half, but a few ebbs and flows in that quarter, I think, Bally, where GWS had some dominance for a period of time. I think it was Port Adelaide early, and then GWS for probably 6 to 8 minutes, and really were capitalising on their opportunities. And then Port Adelaide just had a number of opportunities going forward where they just butchered the footy a little bit, just the leading targets kicking on top of their head. So missed a couple, which has kind of been the story of the night, really, particularly with their dominance in that first quarter. So we're in for a good one, because by the looks of it, no team's willing just to give up now and put the white flag up. So hopefully the intensity and the speed can stay in the game.
Yeah, they've got a sniff, haven't they, the Giants? So it just looked like it happened last week as well. The door was open, the Bombers were in control to the half, but then the Giants mids just overwhelmed them and really got going in the second half, and they've got that look about them this game here as well. So gee, have at that moment late there, Harry Himmelberg. I haven't seen a replay of that yet, but could that be a huge moment? If he goes back and kicks that, they were a point down. They got the momentum going into 3-quarter time.
Well, I think
hopefully that doesn't come back to bite them.
That reflects his mind.
That's the ultimate
mindset in front of his goal.
Ultimate yips.
He doesn't know what to do.
Exactly, gosh.
And he's just on a slight angle, 45 out, and he almost wants to kick it around his body.
Yeah.
Not a good frame. Well, not that I know. I can't say I've,
can't say you've been in that frame of mind.
Been in that frame of mind, to be honest, but it must be a horrible feeling.
Mitch Cleary's on the boundary. Mitch.
It appears the Giants sub has been made. Phil Davis is in the warm-up top at the three-quarter time huddle. He's had the neck injury all through that third quarter. It looks like it's escalated at three-quarter time. Tanner Bruin appears to be in the game for the Giants.
He's in Tanner Bruin's warm-up top as well with a big number 5 on the front of it. So
yeah, and that's not a bad result for the Giants. Young Bruin's got some run and dash and some goal sense around about him as well. So I actually thought they might have brought him on for Sam Reid, but they're going for the smaller team, so that's not the worst result for the Giants. And I like the fact that they were able to take the game on a bit that quarter too. But as you said, they made the ground big. They were able to bring the ball back in on the 45, but they had that overlap run and they gave it without thinking, and that put the power defence under a lot more pressure because they were able to get deeper entries than one-on-one. So more of that, please, this quarter from the Giants, and we could have a really tight one.
So the final term set to get underway. It's Port Adelaide holding a 7-point advantage over the Giants. And we're all in readiness. Bar with just a few moments to try and make sure he bounces straight to start the final term, and he does just that. Mumford and Lysett. Mumford one down the tap towards Hopper. Taken high by Travis Boat. We welcome listeners to Docklands in Melbourne, Western Australia and Tasmania. It's Port Adelaide leading by 7 points. Matt Clinch alongside Corbin Middlemass with Luke Ball and Brendan Goddard, your experts. Mitch Cleary down on the boundary as Port Adelaide work it forward in the right forward pocket and out of play. The Power held a 15-point advantage at quarter time, and then 11 goals in the second quarter, in which Port Adelaide kicked 6-5. The Power by 8 at half time, and then 3 goals apiece in the third term. The Giants took the lead in that third term, but Port Adelaide still have their noses in front in the final term. A chance for Butters, hard against the boundary, kicks along towards the goal mouth. Dixon there, spoiled away from him. Here's a chance for Boat, gets it back to Dixon, trying to feed a hand pass back to Rosie. He now becomes the tackler. There's the ball locked in the left forward pocket, and a good squeezy kick from Daniel, who gets it to half back. Lysett for Port Adelaide, working up against Reid. Can't pick up the footy. Hogan in defence, lost it. And Willem drew it right half forward for Port. Long inside the 50. Dixon's there. Got hands to it, couldn't complete the mark. Marshall trying to wrestle it away. He can't do so. Right up against the behind line. Taylor tackled by Rosie. A hand pass by Perryman over his shoulder. It works as Tom Green feeds it wide, and Kelly will see the Giants out of defence.
Kicks to the sub, Bruin, who's just on the ground for Phil Davis. Mitch Cleary telling us a net complaint for Phil, so he's out of the match. And Tanner Bruin on, and the teenager with his first kick as he switches across the goal face to Haynes in the back pocket, kicks the Giants to half back, away to Peatling, played on straight away. The debutant hands it away to Whitfield. Good kick on the 45 to Ward just inside the centre square. They cut through the middle of Docklands. Hope finds Daniel, short kick to centre half forward. Ash can't complete the mark. It spills down to Bonner. Off half back for Port. He goes wide to Marshall, who marks at half back. They did lead by as many as 27, Port Adelaide, midway through the second term. We had 3 lead changes so far, 2 of them in that third quarter. So the momentum with the Giants, and yet the lead with the Power. Port by 7, early stages, final term.
Oh, what an opportunity there too. Beautiful ball movement. Ground is really opening up, isn't it? But Binger Daniels just had to get back off the mark before playing on.
A little bit too eager. He knew there was the overlap, so he wanted to move on quick, but you can get off the mark and just use that man on the mark rule to your advantage.
Port Adelaide switching play from left half back to right. Bergman into the middle of the crowd. Jonas one way, the other direction. Bruin, big bump. And Jonas is going to get a free kick.
Not 50?
We didn't complete the mark. No, 50. Although Taylor Bruin straight into the action and making his presence
He's come on second best too. That is a hard body, Tom Jonas, to run into.
Jonas with hands on hips kicks back to Bonner, who then kicks into the edge of the centre square, and Mackenzie has it. Port Adelaide chipping through the middle of the ground. Now to Burton, got it to Trav Boat, kicks towards Laddams, up with one arm, can't take the mark. And Whitfield at the back takes the mark for GWS. 35 metres out from his defensive goal at the Lockett end of Docklands. Port Adelaide by 7 points.
Giants need a win to win back their place in the 8 after Fremantle prevailed over Richmond. So Whitfield kicks hurriedly to the city wing. Port with the numbers though. Burn-Jones Hand pass away to Aaliyah, gives it back to Bergman, kicks to half forward, and Pal Pepper marks 70 out in that launch pad, gave it to Burne-Jones. He was mowed down immediately. Great awareness from Sam Reid as he runs down Burne-Jones. Never got the chance to get him full flight and kick goalward. And the Giants win it back. Reid retreats into the defensive 50, and Nick Haynes, almost on the last line of defence, controlling things down back to the Giants.
Kicks to Peatley, it's over his head, opens the door for Fantasia. Peatley tries to lay the tackle, got it to Marshall. Ricochets off the boot of Perryman, comes to Amon in the left forward pocket for Port. To Bonner, retreats back to Marshall on 50. On the right boot, spots Butters, kick is wide of him. Up went Haynes, couldn't gather the mark. Rosie to Dixon, into the open goal, and Charlie's got it. Dixon with his third. And Port Adelaide with the all-important first goal of the final term, which is 4 minutes old. The Power stretch their lead to 13 points. 12-6-78 to the Giants, 10-5-65.
Oh, I love Nick Haynes, Beach. He's a star player, we know that. And he's made 2 blues there.
Back to back.
Yeah, and they were hanging in too. They were, big play to run down tackle, and he just bit off more than he could chew. It was the wrong option. He had easier options. Turn the ball over. And then the ball coming back in 25 metres out in front of your own goal. He had to, I know he loves to back himself to mark it, but he had to put a big fist into that and get it out of the area. And then in the end, his opponent runs into an open goal. So uncharacteristic mistakes from Nick Haynes early in this quarter.
3 in a row for Port Adelaide now after the Giants hit the front, time on in the third term. We've now travelled 5 minutes into the last. And it's back to 13 points Port Adelaide's way. Lies it down to Drew. Hand pass to Boak. In game 301, kicks to centre half forward. No mark for Rosie. Spills down to Butters. A little fumble. Follows up. Hand pass to his mate Rosie. Gets back on his right boot. He kicks wide to Bergman. Haven't had much ball in hand here, the Giants. And Bergman takes the mark. 70 out at half forward. Lays it off to Bonner. He's a left footer. Kicks as he's been tackled out on the lead. Laddams can't complete the mark. Spills front and centre. Fantasia snaps and goals. That's his bread and butter. Horatio Fantasia puts it through, quick as a flash, onto the footy, and kicking truly. All of a sudden, it's 19 points the Power's way. 6 played in the final term. Port Adelaide 13-6, GWS 10-5.
Well, it was a really good finish in the end. Swooping on that front and square, playing his role perfectly, but the kicks are to advantage of Laddams, and he nearly grabbed it, although Bonner was under pressure, so I don't think it was deliberate. But Raz hasn't had a great day, but just staying in the game by playing his role, being where he should be, and it was a really good finish off only a couple of steps on his left foot. So now out to, what do we got? 19 points. So it's a pretty tough ask now for GWS to peg this back.
8 disposals tonight for Horatio Fantasia in his first game back since round 11, but coming up big in the final term. Port Adelaide with 2 quick goals in the opening 6 minutes. Bounce back in the middle. Can the Giants found a response? Mumford wins down the tap. Lloyd comes charging in off the wing, but Birdman got there first. Hand pass to Lyset, who kicks wide, and Butters takes the mark on the city wing. Wants to draw his opponent, Peatley, and give the hand pass to Boak. And now to Drew at right half forward. Drives a long ball towards Charlie Dixon in a wrestle with Taylor. Horatio Fantasia's in again, trying to sock a boot to it. He got the right boot to it, but threw for a minor score to the right. Port Adelaide leading by 20 points.
It's got all the momentum now. Again, that harp on it, but that mistake, felt like they had to get the first goal, the Giants.
Whitfield out to half-back, missed Tom Green on the kick. Jonas chops it off for Port, puts it back inside 50. The kick favours Haynes, who outmarks Rosie in the back pocket. Too short, away to Kelly, so Kelly told to play on, kicks to Taranto on a one-on-one with Bonner, close to the boundary line, or Taranto into the back of Bonner. A little careless as Bonner was just hovering over the footy. To the left foot of Riley Bonner to take the free. Giants hit the front, 19-minute mark of the third term, now 4 in a row for the Power. Port led this by as many as 27 in the second term. As Bonner the 1-2 with Houston, then hits up, winds, attacking edge of the centre square. It goes to Georgiades, one out with Iden, Iden spoils. Down to Lloyd, and Lloyd can kick out of the defensive arc.
Long to Himmelberg, and Aaliyah fantastic, kept his feet and takes a juggling mark. Centre of the city wing, and 50.
Had to be. Man on the mark.
Yeah.
Just didn't stand as he was asked to do.
It's disappointing, isn't it, from the Giants? Their effort's been really, since that first quarter in particular, been enormous. They've just got to find a way to hang in here. Done a great job on this guy, Lear.
Only kicked the 5 goals in his 82 games previously.
Yeah, that was only his first mark for the game, so they've been able to really keep him honest for the best part of the day. Himmelberg in particular, but this will really hurt.
Aliir. Port Adelaide knew what they wanted. They targeted him in the off-season. He comes in and pushes it to the left-hand side. A minor score. Port Adelaide by 21 points. They've done all the attacking in the final term, which is now 9 minutes old.
Whitfield plays on, then goes long, straight down the pipe into the centre square. Aliir floats through, takes the mark. There's an illegal block and a free kick going Himmelberg's way. So this will work out okay for the Giants. Himmelberg gets it defensive side of the centre square, and yet takes an age to get rid of it. Now it's going to play on by hand. Gives it back to Whitfield, who took the kick out. Whitfield from the city wing. Out wide to Perryman, between wing and half forward. A 21-point lead for Port Adelaide, 9 minutes into the last. Perryman kicks inside the forward 50. They're all down there. Himmelberg's in front of the pack and marks. And Harry Himmelberg, he was late to arrive. He read it the best and standing at the drop, hangs onto it.
Go back. He's going to kick it around the corner here. Just stop thinking about it and kick.
No, they're cutting off his angle.
Well, and the umpires are rightfully calling them back, but
it's smart. They know that he wants to run around, so they're making it difficult for him.
Well, they also know that he can. They might call him to play on if it takes any longer, but here he goes.
That's what happened to him in the third term. He gets his kick inside the 30 seconds here and pops it through. The Giants needed that to try and trigger some sort of a comeback. Closes the margin to 15. 11 minutes into the final term. Port Adelaide 13-8-86 out in front. GWS moved to 11-5-71. And the 100-gamer Harry Himmelberg gets one to celebrate his milestone.
They're still within touch, aren't they?
Yeah, yep. He's been good.
Their second inside 50 in the quarter. Port had 10 at the other end.
Yeah, it's staggering, really. So, you may mention Himmelberg, but it's been clear, hasn't it, that he's had a role on Aliir and done a really good job. Just making him accountable, not allowing him to come across as third man in, staying in line with the footy, as we used to talk about, Luke, and just at every option, or every opportunity, just providing an option and just forcing him to defend you when you're in line with the ball. So that's the easiest way to do it. He's done a really good job because Aliir is really important, that intercept marking and rebounding from defensive 50.
Got to go back to the midway mark of the third quarter. The last time the Giants kicked back-to-back goals. Ollie Wines was trying to burst out of the middle of the ground, and you heard from Bally there, Cal Ward got him.
Quick.
Trying to find an option to feed the hand pass away. Now he does just that. Gets it to Cumming, who drives the ball inside 50. Tom Green out on the lead, works underneath it, but Jonas gave away the free kick. Chopping of the arms. So Tom Green has been used as a second ruck. Gets a chance to rest at full forward every now and again.
Yeah, this will test him. He'll kick from about 51, 52. It was a little bit critical. I thought the kick went a bit wide. You'd love to be more direct when you win the centre clearance, get it deeper in a more dangerous spot, but he was good enough to win himself a free kick, Tom Green.
Kick goals in 5 games so far this season. Second year product from New South Wales. He's kicking from right on 50 here. Tom Green gives it everything. It's out to the left though. Mumford's there alongside Hogan, and off hands it goes through for a minor score to the left. Port Adelaide leading by 14 points, 12 minutes gone, final term.
Port, an important game for them too, even though they're currently fourth on the ladder. They can be a game clear in the top 4 with 3 to play as Bonner takes the kick out, long ball towards the city wing, spills to Pau Pepper, missed his boot with the ball, Dixon got a kick away, fortunately to Butters, inside the centre square, kicks deep to Rosie, he's up, he can't mark, and doing very well Cumming, didn't give away the free kick, hands it away to Peatling, back pocket to a 2-on-1, Dersma floating through with the intercept mark at half forward. And Xavier Dersma chops it off 48 metres out for Port.
Just kick long, kick the space, kick short to a 1-on-1. Isaac Cumming has done a magnificent job. He's becoming a really good player too. To affect the spoil. Port just thought that kick had to play the percentages and get it out of the danger zone. Just gave Xavier Dersma an opportunity, which he was good enough to take.
This guy's a big-time player. He loves these moments. Wide out at left half forward. 5 metres in from the boundary line, 50 out. X's kick across the goal face. Dixon tries to keep it alive. Top of the goal square, Bruin hands it to Perryman. Hurried kick to Hopper. Ball still live. Whitfield for the Giants out to O'Halloran.
O'Halloran in the back pocket, kicks up towards Sam Reid. 1-on-1 with Burn-Jones. Reid knocks it down, but Elias swoops onto it. Port Adelaide looking into attack once more. Kicks towards Butters. Kelly slipped in the middle, dropped the mark though. Over the footy, got high contact. And the Giants almost took the advantage. And Josh Kelly a bit ginger with the ankle.
Someone run past for the handball because it's taken too long now. Port get back, go away.
Bit slow getting it back to him as he's limping on one leg, urging someone to run behind him. Gets it to Iden eventually, who does just that. Long kick towards Daniels. 2-on-1 Port Adelaide's way as Burn-Jones spoiled it down. Bruin, the sub, into the action, gets a hand pass forward, works off at O'Hanlon and Dersma through traffic, gets it to Marshall, turns and kicks towards half forward. Georgiades and Iden. Georgiades in front position, can't take it cleanly, now he can. Sidesteps Iden. Haynes comes to make it a 2-on-1, and he's going to chip it back, and Willem Drew takes the mark at left half forward.
Big play that, big 1-on-1 win that from Georgiades. 15 class there.
15 minutes into the final term, Power by 14. He goes short to Marshall. So Marshall just forward of the wing. Short kick to Dersma. Left half forward, still 70 out, looks inside 50. Fantasia the target, got there on the half volley. Falls to ground, hand pass away towards Bonner. Goes out to Amon, hand pass to Houston, all by hand back to Marshall. 70 out at half forward, kicks into the pocket, and Whitfield brings it to ground and knocks it out of play. So a boundary throw in, 40 metres out from the Powers goal. Port playing to go a game clear in the top 4. The Giants playing for a spot in the 8. At the end of round 20, the Power by 14 points, 15 travelled in the last.
Toss back into play, Mumford and Dixon. Dixon taps it to the front. Tanner Bruin onto it, kicks a bouncing ball end over end towards Bonner and Daniels. They fight for it at ground level. Great pick-up from Carl Amon, gets it to Dersma, left half forward, kick right to the goal line, but it's through. Taylor trying to work with the goalpost to get a hand to it, but I think he missed. And we're going to go upstairs just to check. The Giants have had some defensive lapses there, and Taylor was waiting for the kick to the goal line, but I don't think he got a hand to it.
I don't think he did. He's a little bit unsure of it. He watched it right to the end, Dersma, but it'll be a really good finish if it's managed to sneak through. And we just saw briefly, there's no one here, obviously, to see the...
Did we see it?
The bow and arrow, just a little one, just a discreet one. It's still there, still in his game.
There's a camera down there in that pocket, so...
We're just also double-checking it didn't kiss the padding of the post. Which, to be honest, it seemed like there was a bit of daylight there.
The ball does not touch the post, and there is a gap at all times. Decision on scoreboard.
So we can hear the arc loud and clear with no crowd in at Docklands. And Xavier Dersma with the goal in the final term. Now it comes up on the big screen, and Port Adelaide are out once more with a comfortable lead. 16 minutes gone, final term. It's a 20-point advantage. 14-8-92 to the Giants 11-6-72. Mitch Cleary.
Saw that earlier ball, he went... landed awkwardly, didn't he, Josh Kelly?
Yeah, it's a big bloke. He was he's been their best player today, I think, or tonight rather. So,
and this is where
what have they got
flourished.
there? So you just hope they fight it out here because they deserve to be in the finish. And you just hope that it doesn't blow out to a 5 or 6 goal loss for the Giants.
Great to have Xavier Dersma back. Plenty of those players bringing a bit of spark to the Power, and Butters, Rosie, Dersma, Fantasia over the last 2 weeks. A 20-point lead for Port Adelaide. Wines first touch in the middle, hands it to Amon, kicks inside 50. Marshall hitting up to meet it, and Marshall marks 45 out just right of centre.
Yeah, it was Haynes that just lost his footing on Marshall, so there's a banana kick out of the middle, so he judged it really well there, Marshall, just knowing that it was going to fall short, and Haynes went to ground, so it's fair to say they got all the momentum here. It's been a pretty dominant performance in this last quarter again. Just playing it in their forward half, the inside 50s. I think you said earlier it was 8-2. I imagine it's the differentials maybe gone out just a little bit more than that. So
Marshall looking for the extra metres. Kicks from 49 out. Just pulls it out to the left to behind. 21-point lead for Port Adelaide, 14-9 to 11-6. It's going to take something dramatic here for Greater Western Sydney. 18 minutes played, final term.
Channeling a bit of my best Drew Morford, who would normally watch the race results, just watching Rowan Browning running in the semi-final, the 100 metres, finished 5th. So first two automatically go through. A time of 10.09. So out the radio broadcast partner, so I can't bring it to you, but it looks like he won't go through to the final. Port Adelaide leading by 21 points here. Tom Jonas takes the mark, centre wing, dockside.
It's going to be fun to follow, isn't he, at 23?
Yeah, he'll be better in 3 years' time at Paris, but it's such a shame because if he runs last night's race, he's probably in. Just got left in the blocks a bit.
Jonas short to Ryan Burton, who kicks towards Charlie Dixon in a wrestle. Got good support from Cumming, who flew late and punched it out of play. So Port Adelaide with 3 goals to 1 in this final term, having led by 7 at three-quarter time. They lead by 21 points at the 19-minute mark of the final term.
The final for the men's 100 a little later tonight at 10 to 11. It's Eastern time. Power by 21 here. Dixon from the boundary throwing, wins the tap, but Bruin for the Giants' first touch. Hand pass away to Hopper. Geez, landed heavily too. His head just whacking off the turf. Did he get hit by the ball on the way through?
Did he land, or was it a foot?
No, I think it was a clean smother. It must have been when he
Hopper looked out before he hit the ground, and then his head smacked off the back of the turf. And he put his body on the line, dived across to try and lay the smother on Amon. And Hopper landed heavily. That is a very unusual incident.
They're asking for the stretcher, I think.
Yeah. Mitch, did you get a look at that from where you were sitting downstairs?
But it wasn't the foot following through anyway. It doesn't matter. He's in a bit of trouble.
I think it was the foot on the follow-through. Got him right in the face.
Yeah, I thought he looked a bit limp before he hit the ground. Anyway, hopefully he's okay. He's in good hands at the moment.
Luckily, we don't see too many of these nowadays where the stretcher comes out and the player is KO'd before he hits the ground. But as you picked up, Paulie, so Amon kicking the ball forward, and Amon's went off. He's a left footer, of course, so he was up against the boundary line on this sort of northern, or on our outside, the dock side of the ground. And as Hopper is diving across the body of Amon to try and lay the smother, the follow-through from the drop punt from Carl Amon has clipped Hopper in the head.
Yeah.
And as a result, Hopper was out before he hit the ground and then landed heavily in the back of his head, smacking off the turf. So the trainers around Jacob Hopper at the moment, you never like to see that. Game number 103 for Jacob Hopper. The two teams both in their huddles. And now the Medicab makes its way out onto the ground. Port by 21 points, 14-9 over GWS 11-6. So a 21-point lead for Port Adelaide. Time on in the final quarter. Ever been in an incident like that, Page or Bally?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, I've been in a few.
But put his head where you're not meant to. A lot of the time, I didn't.
That's just bad luck, isn't it? Yeah, he plays the game the right way. We know that, and he's been pretty good again tonight. 26 possessions.
It's always tough for the families, no doubt, of the players watching on as they try and get some confirmation from the team medical staff when they can communicate that. He celebrated his 100th game a couple of weeks ago. Jacob Hopper. Grew up in Leeton in New South Wales.
Yeah, he's
spent some time in Ballarat. His final 2 years of schooling at St Pat's down there, and then announced himself with a great under-18 carnival and got his opportunity at the Giants with pick 11 in pick number 7 in 2015.
Yep.
So put the neck brace on him here as a precaution, and now 7 of the trainers around the stretcher are going to pick him up and carry him towards the Medicab. Seems very well coordinated. There's been too many of his players come by. Hopper's got his arms crossed on his chest. Just looking to see if we can get sort of any sign from Jacob Hopper at this stage. And there's a bit of a conversation as to whether they're going to use the Medicab here or not. They will. So Hopper will be spun around and placed onto the Medicab. Not a great incident if you're just tuning in. Jacob Hopper trying to lay a smother, diving across the body of Carl Amon with his left peg against the boundary line. He was kicking down to half forward, and The follow-through of the kick, Hopper laying the smother, copped the boot from Amon, completely accidental in his head, and he was out before he'd hit the ground. A 21-point lead for Port Adelaide here, time on in the last.
Shame, having a terrific year, consistent year. He'd be top 3 or 5 in the best and fairest, no doubt. Jacob Hopper, and just ticked over 100 games, I think you said, Clinchy, so he's really starting to come into his prime as a midfielder. Hopefully he's okay. He'll be forced to miss the 12 days, the mandatory 12 days we know about now, but fingers crossed that's all it is.
Josh Kelly just came over and gave him a little bit of a pat. There's the doctor sitting on the Medicab just holding the neck braces. Hopper very still, making his way off the ground, and Kelly will go back over again just to give him a little pat on the arm on the way through. So he's headed down the race. Jacob Hopper, always a very scary moment to see anywhere, and obviously on the footy field, something you never want to see. Jacob Hopper out of the game. It's going to be Port Adelaide's ball here at half forward.
Must be always hard for the players after a break of 3 or 4 minutes to just re-engage and get back into the flow of the game. Port Adelaide by 21 points. We've still got just under 7 minutes to go in this clash, as we're given the all clear to get play back underway. Mumford and Laddams. Laddams one down the tap to Boak. His hand pass intercepted by Haynes. A high ball around the wing. Himmelberg underneath it. Punched away from him as Mackenzie lands awkwardly. Burton tried to sock it off the ground but couldn't get it past Callum Ward. Kelly back into the action for the Giants. Hand pass to Taranto. Kicks towards half forward. Reid had to fly late against Houston. Knocked it down, but Mackenzie there offering good support for Port Adelaide. Back to Dersma. Chips it wide across the defensive goal mouth, and Zach Butters takes the mark. Back to Mackenzie, who marks in the left back pocket. 25 minutes gone, final term. Port Adelaide by 21 points as he chips it wider still to Darcy Byrne-Jones. Of course, Robbie Gray still to come back into this Port Adelaide side. One of the last pieces of the puzzle.
I think the only other one you could make the case for is obviously Stephen Motlop, who had a big final last year.
That Tom Cleary, or do you think they've sort of going to stick with this back six anyway? Think about that, Beach.
I was going to say gone past him, maybe.
It's Port working up to half forward as Connor Rosie across the body, trying to find Georgiades. Haynes picks it off.
I'd just be worried again. Playing, it's awesome, of course, if playing against Geelong. I'd just be worried about the size factor.
Yeah.
Short away Halloran, long kick across the ground to Lloyd. Marks just forward at halfway. Middle of Docklands, kicks deep to Hogan, trying to hold out Aaliyah. Can't take the mark, spills to Aaliyah at ground level. Hands it away to Jonas. He's gang tackled. Hogan and Green lock him up. That's Toby. And a ball up 20 metres out right in front of the Giants' goal. Coming home to the Coventry end. Port by 21. 26 and a half played final turn.
Thrown up Laddams and Mumford. Mumford tries to knock it down to the front. Kelly racing after it, so seems to be moving a bit better. He now becomes the tackler with Sam Reid. And they lock the ball up on the chest of Dan Houston.
Interrupted season, we know. Jesse Hogan, he's just got to clunk that, I think. He's just got to protect the drop of the ball and mark that.
Mumford becomes the tackler on Darcy Byrne-Jones following his ruck work. Still locked inside the left forward pocket for GWS. So the Power with 3-1 in this final term. Mumford once more trying to find a teammate with his tap. Reid an underground hand pass cleverly to Taranto. Couldn't take it cleanly, and Jonas feeds the hand pass out to Mackenzie. Long kick towards the runner. Chad Corns had to get out of the way. Swatted away by O'Halloran for the Giants, but only as far as Georgiades, who tucks the footy under his chest. 2 bounces as he runs the wing. Haynes, great chase, laid the tackle. Had to retreat back by hand. Georgiades, Boat knocked it on to Birdman. Kicks around the body with the right boot inside 50. Rosie kept his feeding when Taylor it in, and Connor Rosie on the right boot. Snaps on goal and misses to the left. So Port Adelaide's lead 22 points at the 28-minute mark of the final term. Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
We might just get back to Mitch in a moment as Bruin on the outer wing, hand pass away to Lloyd. Lloyd with the long kick into the pocket, and Toby Green takes the mark. So time against the Giants. It will be a long quarter. They're trying to protect The zone here inside the 5 metres for the snap. Green hooks it across the body, but crashes into the goal post halfway up, a minor score. GWS 11-7, Port Adelaide 14-10. Port by 21, 28 played in the last. Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
It was just on Nick Haynes. He received some attention after that big chase down tackle on Mitch Georgiadis. Hands on his head for a while, breathing in the deep ones, but he's okay.
Tom Jonas kicks Port Adelaide back into play. Long to half back. Taylor for the Giants at the hand pass, but intercepted by Travis Boat. To McKenzie and now to Butters, who kicks up to the wing. Dixon 2-on-1. He'll get a free kick though. No, it's a Giants free kick. A push against Charlie. The frustration in a 2-on-1 marking contest getting to him there. Sam Taylor gives it to Josh Kelly, a stationary hand pass. And Kelly kicks towards Himmelberg, who flew from behind Aaliyah. Aaliyah ends up with a footy though for Port Adelaide. Hand pass to Fantasia. It bounced through his legs. Aaliyah trying to run onto the footy, couldn't do so. And Marshall with a hand pass back to Houston at the back edge of the centre square for Port Adelaide. Chips it wide to Travis Boat. Game 301 around the outer wing, and he finds Zach Butters. And Port Adelaide can just control the tempo for a few moments here as they chip it to Houston and back into the centre square to Bonner.
So Bonner goes short to Marshall. 21 points, Port Adelaide's lead. It'll be a long quarter after Jacob Hopper unfortunately KO'd moments ago. So he was stretched it off after about a 5-minute interval. Goes back to Butters, to Houston. Kicks inside 50. Great mark. Contested effort. Charlie Dixon one-on-one with Taylor, who's done a mountain of work down back. But Charlie gets the nod on this occasion. Takes a towering mark in the forward pocket.
It's been a good contest, hasn't it? Berge, you've sung rightfully so too, Sam Taylor's praises. I love the way he plays. He backs himself. He takes front position, even against a bigger guy like Charlie Dixon. But this will be 4 if he kicks this. So
2 in the first quarter. Dixon snapping to make it 2 in the last. That goes through as well. Some icing on the cake for Port Adelaide. 15-10, 100. GWS 11-7, 73. And all of a sudden it's back to a game high, 27 points. Port Adelaide's way, 31 travelled final term.
Yeah, so that's 4. So really, 4 goals 2.
Yeah, well, I think it looks better on.
How many marks has he taken? Only 5. So yeah, I think it's been a really good battle. But if you kick 4 as a key forward, you've done the job, haven't you? When your team wins by 4.
Yeah, it hasn't been a dominant display. He's got a couple of... That was, I think, the first contested marker he's kicked the goal. He had an opportunity out on the lead earlier, but one's come from a ground ball. A handball received earlier, I think, in the game in that first quarter. So it's been a really good battle. I'd say it's you probably split it.
Yep, pretty even.
There, but I like what I see from Taylor.
2 in the first, 2 in the last for Charlie Dixon. Up to 41 goals for the season. Port Adelaide leading by 27 points. Back in the middle of the ground. Drew in the sub trying to break through a tackle from Willem Drew, who's again been good for Port Adelaide in the middle of the ground. 16 disposals after 32 last week. Amon with 30, Ollie Wines with 27, and Riley Bonner with 25. Josh Kelly's led the way with 31 for the Giants. Cal Ward trying to break clear. Got it onto his boot and kicks towards half forward. Underneath it, Toby Green had it spoiled away by Jonas, but straight to Lloyd. Kicks inside the 50. Hogan out on the lead into the pocket. Tried to toe poke it to Daniels, but Houston picks it up for Port Adelaide. Hand pass to Drew. Feeds the hand pass to Tom Jonas to a stationary Burton at half back, and he kicks up to Georgiades on the wing.
So Georgiades with a couple today. So between he, Marshall and Dixon, they've come up with 7 again. A big 3 up front for Port Adelaide as Georgiades down to half forward. Cumming goes for a fly late in the piece, can't take a hanger. And Peatling on debut lays it back by hand to Whitfield. Kicks in the middle of the ground. Not a great kick for Tom Green. Aaliyah picks his pocket. Kicks out wide. Amon marks. High half forward. He doesn't play on. And Amon wants to go back and take his kick. He goes wide to Powell-Pepper. Powell-Pepper will kick back to Burton, who has it on the wing. Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
Darcy Byrne-Jones' night is done. He's got the ice and the strapping on his left quad. They're telling me it's a corky to power. Bit late to make the medical sub there, so Boyd Woodcock will remain on the bench.
Yeah, they don't want any more corkies to power. They're just going to chip it around for the last minute or so.
So Connor Rosie chips it back. Todd Marshall has it at left half back. Port Adelaide by 27 points. 33 minutes gone in the final term. Marshall kicks towards Georgiades and Ollie Wines in front. Strong mark, and Georgiades has landed awkwardly, so
they didn't want.
Just want this siren to sound.
I think he's got the knee right in the top of the...
Stop, sorry.
Hip, yeah.
They hurt. That's what you need.
Wines goes back to Burton. So over the last couple of weeks, they get Rosie and Butters and Dersma and Fantasia back. It's all coming together for Port. A game clear inside the top 4 with 3 to play. A big win for the Power, starting to piece it together at the right time of the season. While for the Giants, they're on the outside looking in. They lose their place in the top 8 in round 20. Port Adelaide by 27.
Port Adelaide aggression. We are the power from Port. It's more than a sport. It's the true Port Adelaide tradition. We'll never stop till we're top. There's history here in the making. We got the power to win. We'll never give in till the flag is ours for the taking.
They led by 15 points at quarter time. They got it out to as wide as 27 midway through the second term before the Giants really made their run. All of a sudden, GWS hit the front. Time on in the third quarter before Port Adelaide took over when it was time to close. They kicked 6 of the last 7 goals in the game, and at the finish, it ended up at 27 points, as wide as it was at any stage across the afternoon. Port Adelaide 15-10-100, GWS 11-7-73. The Power moved to 14-5. The Giants 8.5 wins outside the top 8.
We got the power to win, power to rule. Come on, Port Adelaide aggression. We got the power from Port. It's more than a sport. It's the true Port Adelaide tradition. We'll never stop till we're top. There's history here in the making. We got the power to win. We'll never give in till the flag is ours for the taking.
The goal kickers, Clinchy, 4 for Big Charlie up front, 3 for Laddams, 2 for Georgiades, 1 to Marshall, Dersma, Boak, Fantasia, Amon and Butters. While for GWS, Daniel Lloyd kicked 3, 2 for Toby Green, 2 for Jesse Hogan, and then 1 each for Ward, Taranto, Himmelberg and Mumford. The Power by 27 in the finish.
So after they had to evacuate South Australia with a lockdown taking place, they made it 3 from 3. While they've been based in Melbourne, they'll head back to South Australia after today's fixture and look to take on the Crows in the showdown on Saturday night. Port Adelaide winners by 27 points. Doesn't get much easier for the Giants. They've got Geelong next week and the Tigers and Carlton in their final 3 matches to try and get back inside the top 8. Luke Ball and Brendan Goddard on ABC Sport after Port Adelaide's 27-point victory.
No, we saw a pretty good game of football, I would have thought. So both teams come out with the right attitude. It was a little bit uncontested, I think, for mine, just moving into finals. So Port Adelaide would be pumped with that. They got challenged. GWS came back at different stages. Port Adelaide dominating for long periods of the game. Luke particularly early. Didn't capitalise. Could have come back to bite them, but to their credit, they continued to chug away. Dominance in the forward half. Dominance inside 50s. Just their efficiency was lacking, which has been somewhat of a story. But GWS just made the most of their opportunities going forward and kept them right in the game. And different periods you highlighted just the dominance of GWS around the ball and their midfielders and their really good players. Hopper, Kelly. Taranto didn't spend a lot of time in there, but Green as well, playing that kind of midfield ruck role, started to really get on top and find dominance and getting ground position. But it was just I think the overwhelming dominance in the forward half, the inside 50s that just got the better of GWS in the end. They couldn't hold up that damn wall.
Yeah, I mean, they had 19 more inside 50s in the first quarter, the Power, and they finished with 19 more. Yep. So after quarter time, it was pretty even. I thought the Giants were pretty brave. I thought they were, we sat around at quarter time and thought, oh, this could be a bit of a blowout. This could, Port, it's looking a bit ominous. They just weren't capitalising on their forward half dominance in that first quarter, but I thought after that, and backed up by the numbers, the Giants were pretty brave, and really they're just lacking firepower ahead of the footy.
Besides Green?
Yeah, besides Green, who was his first game back, and he was a touch rusty. And I thought Burton, for the most part, did a pretty good job on him as well for the power. He's one of their better players. But yeah, Himmelberg was okay. Yeah, I thought he did an okay job in terms of at least keeping Lear accountable. Hogan had some moments, but at times, and again, he hasn't had a lot of continuity in his footy, but is he the guy that can hold down that real key position post? I mean, we know that Jeremy Cameron's left and he's a star. Laces out of the team at the moment, isn't he? So
we knew this coming into the season though too. This would hurt them with the departure of Cameron, and they went and got Hogan, which would be, we all thought, if he stays fit, he'd be a reasonable replacement. But they're just lacking that second or even third firepower as a forward, particularly a tall outside of Green, who plays kind of a dual role where he's so good above his head one-on-one. Dusty Martin where he demands a really good defender, taller defender that's good one-on-one, and then he's so good on the ground. So
yeah, but I thought through the middle of the ground and their back six by and large, I thought fought really, really well today. And Nick Haynes was good. Taylor, young Peatley. His first game was sensational. 90 possessions and had some dash, and he looks like a player that they can really build on. Because they lack a bit of that off half-back, having lost Williams and all those other guys. So for them, I just think they're just a bit short on as you said at the start of the day, on depth. They just drop away a bit, and against the top teams, they just get overwhelmed. But for me, it wasn't for a lack of effort today. Other than that maybe the first quarter where they were really they're probably a bit lucky to be only within 2 goals, to be within 2 goals.
Which sounds,
they were great.
Sounds funny, doesn't it, talking about GWS and the lack of depth of what they've had come through the club in the last 8 years. It's something they've always had up their sleeve. They've got guys playing in the knee full in their twos that are top 10 draft picks that you're not hearing anything about.
More, I think Moore's gone out now.
So that's
than have come in. But you're right. Yeah, it is a 5 years ago we weren't saying that, were we? But and I think they've had some injuries and stuff this year. So and I thought they were pretty brave today. But Port get the 4 points, and that's really at this time of year. That's what you need to keep doing. You need to keep banking them, and they sit in the top 4 today. Is that?
Yep, a game inside the top 4. So Port Adelaide winners by 27 points, 15-10-100 to the Giants 11-7-73. Let's bring you the song from the Port Adelaide change rooms. So Port Adelaide winners by 27 points, 14 wins and 5 losses so far. And while a lot of the dialogue will focus around who they haven't beaten in the top 8, just one win against top 8 sides. The question is, they were the minor premiers last year. Can they build in the back end of the season? And with a top 4 finish, build an assault on the finals with form leading in rather than being the dominant side throughout the home and away season?
I think they can, and I think September certainly won't scare them at all. The majority of that team were there last year when they got within or got so close to being there at the end. And you're right, once you get there, you just need a bit of luck. And it looks like they might be getting, or their luck might be turning at the right time with these guys coming back. So all of a sudden, the Butters, Dersma, Rosie and a few others will have had 4 or 5 games going into the finals, and we know that they're going to be crucial players. I've still got a little question mark about their behind the ball against the Hawkins or
just the actual profile of how they're getting it done is a bit
having to defend from the back. But no, everything else, they've got a couple of big key forwards. They're strong around the ball. Their ruckman's in pretty good form, so they've got most other bases covered. Beach.
They got Adelaide, Carlton, which you'd expect them to win. And it may be a bit of, flat track bully kind of style, but they do have the Bulldogs in the last.
Could be a nice little finals preview.
Well,
round 23.
I think a week ago, the top 4 at that particular time.
Yeah, same thing. They'll play each other in the last round,
so that could determine there could be some shuffling in that top probably the third or fourth position
So
as it stands, because Western Bulldogs have separated themselves, haven't they, by
Yep. So Dogs, Port,
and Geelong.
Melbourne are the round 23 fixtures. So
Yep.
be a nice little prelude to the quality.
Actually, it's closer than I thought. Yeah, Port's only one win away from top spot, so we've got an interesting couple of weeks, and looking ahead, last round of the year that may shape that top four and who plays who and who plays who where. Mind you, that's a question mark too, isn't it? There may not be any home ground advantage. We're 3 weeks away, so fingers crossed.
But it is really taking shape in the sense that, like you said, the top four be each separated by one game. They're also a game clear now of fifth, which is the Sydney Swans. So there's a game between Port Adelaide on 14 wins, Sydney on 13 wins, and then now they're a game clear from the Brisbane Lions, who are on 12 wins, who have a 2-game gap from the West Coast Eagles in 7th. And the Eagles' loss yesterday puts them right back in that mix, where all of a sudden the Eagles in 7th, all the way down to St Kilda in 13th, are separated by 2 games on the table. So the Dockers currently occupy 8th spot. They're a game behind the Eagles on 9 wins. They're 2 points clear of the Giants, who are then 2 points clear of the 8-win teams, which are the same sides that we often talk about: Essendon, Richmond, Carlton, St Kilda.
What about if we crystal ball this? Sydney have St Kilda, North, and Gold Coast.
Yeah,
So if any of those top 4 was to drop, drop one, at this point in time, Sydney would be in a fair run if they were going to win the next 3, wouldn't they? They won like 5 in a row or something.
Sydney, 5 in a row now.
Yep. So they've won 5 in a row. So they win the last 3, they'll be on an 8-game winning streak and potentially snag a top 4 spot. Which, if they're able to play at home, we know what an advantage that is playing at SCG.
Not looking likely.
I know.
They've been away from home for a couple of months now, and they're not looking like they'll get home until the season's completed. They're
such a shame.
Partners headed up to Queensland in the hope they'd be reunited, and now all of a sudden it's a bit of a jigsaw to try and bring it all together. The West Coast Eagles have got Melbourne, Fremantle and Brisbane in their last 3 weeks. So the Dockers, with a great win without Nat Fyfe, Michael Walters, Rory Lobb, prevailing by 4 points over the Richmond Tigers in the West. So we know how tightly contested the local derbies can be. So local derbies over there. So, I mean, it's going to be such an interesting end of the season, and really you can make a case that the top 4, 5 teams, with Sydney included in that, are probably a run above the rest, aren't they?
I think so, yeah. All of a sudden Brisbane are sort of sliding out of that, aren't they? Through a combination of form and personnel and some bad luck with injury. So I think Port and Sydney have well and truly shot above them for now.
Which is generally the case, right? Because the top 4 generally deserve the top 4 because of their consistency they've shown and the profile of their game, with that balance between offence and defence. So there's no one now at the minute that's Sydney really should, let's correct myself. So outside that top 5 really, that are really at this point in time are going to threaten based on form and profile, the way they're playing and the way they're going about it. So 2 weeks ago I had Richmond penciled in for that 8th position, really, because of who they had ahead of them. I thought they'd win today over in Perth and get over Fremantle. You just said what a wonderful win it was for the club, and you could see the emotion after the game, what it meant to them. Now holding on to that 8th spot or getting that 8th spot. So it was a pretty big win. There's the jigsaw pieces just keep moving around that bottom half of the 8.
Fremantle got the audit a couple of weeks ago against Geelong, didn't they? When it looked like they were going okay and ready to make a bit of a run, and they got a decent reality check there. So I think that's an illustration of the gap between those top handful of teams and the next. But you just got to get in and then get on a run and have a bit of luck.
Remember, we said it last year, and then Collingwood went to Perth, rank outsiders, and beat the Eagles when I think everyone thought that was the one final that was absolutely locked in leading into the first week of the final.
But then they got touched up. They played their grand final, or their final that week, and then there was just too big a ask to get up. And that's what happens with teams that just scrape in or thereabouts the bottom half of the 8, or manage to just get into that 8th spot. They just haven't done it consistently. So they may go into a final and then they may win, that first final because they're playing those bottom 8 teams. But then to do it against the top 4 team, to back it up the following week, and if you're lucky enough then to do it the following week, it's too big a ask because you just haven't done it consistently enough. You don't have great habits ingrained in you throughout the year, and it all like shows in finals, in big finals.
So just to recap, as Corby said, the Western Bulldogs and Geelong equal on points. The Bulldogs with a percentage of 142, Geelong with 132. Melbourne 2 points behind in third position. Port Adelaide a further 2 points behind in fourth position. Sydney a game behind in fifth. And the Brisbane Lions in sixth. They're a game behind. The West Coast Eagles are 2 games behind. And then Fremantle are inside the 8. So, I mean, it's wacky with the Giants 2 points behind and 4 points behind Essendon, Richmond, Carlton and St Kilda. So, for as weird as it's been, the last 3 rounds are still going to play a pivotal part.
Yeah, I mean, on Friday night's form, Carlton are as good a chance as any of that group to get in. They got the...
I was about to say. Don't get to see for one night.
I just said on last week's form, didn't I?
Last week's game.
Friday night's game.
Yep.
They got Gold Coast next week here. Here's a W. You'd think.
I was going to say a lot of teams in there.
Yeah, and then they've got Port. So they'll and then the Giants here. So they'll
So what we're saying is that 8 spot is
up for grabs.
So
someone's got to win 3 in a row.
Yeah. There's the team that run home could potentially Richmond again could just scrape in with their finish. So it's interesting. At least it keeps it interesting coming towards the end of the season, doesn't it?
Yeah, and my view is that, and let's talk about the Bombers not being quite. My view is if you can play a final, regardless of whether you're, I think the experience you get, and again it'll be different probably this season, the last 2 seasons, but even if you've got the youngest group, the experience you get from a final is worth it, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't buy into that. Yeah, they're not quite ready. If you can play a final, absolutely, bank one.
They're not ready to. We talked about it, I think, last week that I think they're quite ready to challenge, but we said it was so valuable if they were to get in.
That's how you find out, isn't it? You play those teams in those big games. So yeah, that's there for any of those younger teams up for grabs.
It sets up a great race, though, doesn't it? We've got plenty of interest in the last 3 weeks, which so often we get to this point of the season, we're 20 rounds down, we've got 3 more games to go, it's in the dead of winter, and the top 8's decided and there's not a heap to play for, whereas it feels like we've got some really live regular season games.
Yeah, well, even the bottom 4. I mean, Hawthorn beat Brisbane today. North really stuck it to Geelong, didn't they? And they're hard to beat at the moment, North. Adelaide, okay at times. Collingwood were terrific yesterday.
Yeah.
Gold Coast were awful today. So it's the dead rubber is not, or they're certainly not as prevalent this year, is it? Which is good.
We're going to backtrack through the events of the day, given it was a Super Sunday with 5 matches taking place. We're just hoping to hear from the Port Adelaide rooms. Port Adelaide winners by 27 points at Docklands, the second of a doubleheader today, 15-10-100 to the Giants, 11-7-73. Earlier it was the Dockers defeating Richmond by 4 points. Sydney getting over the line against the Bombers by 7, after the Bombers led by 12 at half-time, an 11-goal third term in which the Swans eventually prevailed in the final term. Hawthorn by 12 points over the Brisbane Lions, so there was a bit to talk about with the Hawks, and Melbourne by 98 points over the Gold Coast Suns, the first game today. Travis Boak can join us from the Port Adelaide rooms, winners by 27 points. Trav, you kicked 6 of the last 7 goals after a fair tussle in the third term. What did you make of a pretty good 27-point win in the end?
Yeah, it was a good battle all day. I think we started, we started quite well and lost their way for probably 20, 30 minutes of the game, and they sort of started to wrestle it back. And I think we got on top around the contest, and our tackle pressure was really good. And probably going inside 50, we started to have a bit more composure and were able to finish. So it was a good game and good to come away with the win. And it's been a good couple of weeks down here, but it'll be nice to get home.
No, Trav, it's BJ, mate. Well done your 300th last week, mate. Welcome to the club, if I can just say that. Yeah. Did you just made mention that you felt like they got on top around the stoppages, and then you mentioned your ball use actually going inside 50. Was that mentioned at half-time, just about having a bit more composure? Because it felt like up here there was, particularly that first quarter, your dominance in the forward half was clear-cut, but was messaging around just being more composed going inside 50?
Yeah, definitely. It was probably more quarter time. We sort of talked about our ball movement going inside 50. We did, we probably dominated a lot of the ball and probably didn't give our forwards, much of a chance. Either, not kicking to advantage or kicking from too far out, and they were able to read it. They're very good down back. And, then half time, we sort of spoke about the contest post-stoppage. We're getting done on ground ball and we're able to get that hunt back in the third quarter. And especially centre bounce, they started to get a bit of momentum and we're able to adjust a few things in there and get it going back in the third quarter.
Trav, we don't see the old-fashioned tag that much these days. You had young Lockie Ash come to you this week. Did you prepare for that at all as a midfield group, having seen him do that last week against Darcy Parish? And then what was your mentality? It looked like you had the licence to take him forward at times and experiment a bit from that front.
Yeah, no, we saw some stuff that he did last week. Myself and Ollie sort of watched some stuff during the week, and we thought he might come to one of us. And we sort of spoke about helping each other out if he did go to one of us. And it was a good battle of days. He's a hard runner, so it was quite hard to get away from him, and he competes, which is always good fun, and it's always nice coming up against especially some younger guys, and it's always a good battle. But we were able to get it done as a whole midfield group, which was really good. I think Carl had an outstanding game, and Ollie again was great. And Drew's come on in over probably the last 5 or 6 weeks and really take his game to another level. But we were able to get Butsy, Connor, and these sort of guys who have just started to come back inside through the middle, which allowed me and Ollie to go forward a little bit more. And having that depth there is what we want as a group.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Was my next question, just about more around Drew and his performance in the last couple of weeks. It felt like you were kind of searching for that third mid to roll through there, and he's kind of grabbing that opportunity with both hands. So does that allow you and Ollie, that predominantly play in there, to be a bit more flexible with your game now and spend a bit more time forward? Because we saw you obviously spent time there, but Ollie at times was that deep forward.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a pretty long year. Obviously, the game's going back to longer quarters and a pretty long season. So we can't spend every game all on ball, and we need a lot of depth through there. And to have Drewy come on, we knew he was super talented. He just needed to find his confidence at this level, and he's been able to do that and take his game to another level. And now we've got guys like Pep and Connor and Butsy to go through that middle, and now Carl's taking his game to another level. It's just adds so much depth, and we can sort of not rely on one or two and be able to be flexible without, and whoever comes in there's got the legs to go, and we want to be like that as a midfield group. We've got to be able to outnumber and work inside, but also get outside as well.
Trav, you mentioned Carl. I want to ask you about Carl Amon. To me, we spoke about him at half-time as being someone who should be spoken about in all Australian terms, in terms of the specific role that he seems to play. Now, he's going inside a little bit, but in terms of an out-and-out winger, he's really, as you said, taken his game to another level. And what do you put that down to? I mean, he's 25, I think, ticking over 60 games now. We hear he's an elite runner. He must just be feeling really confident in where his game's at.
Yeah, I think that's probably the main thing, his confidence now, which comes with more games. And Carl is an extremely good runner and gets everything out of himself at training, which is what has allowed him to give himself a really good chance. But I think now the confidence in his inside game is probably what's helped him a lot too. We know he can run up and down all day, but the ability to win the ball himself has probably given him confidence to play both roles, inside the contest and outside as well. And now he's just starting to flourish and understand his game a lot more. And it's great for us to have that option.
Travis spoke with us on Grandstand AFL. Travis, Corbin Middlemass here. First of all, happy birthday, turning 33 today and celebrating a big milestone as the new games record holder at Port Adelaide. Did you get a message from Kane Corns, or did you chat to him during the week going past his record?
I haven't received a text from Kane this week. He texted me. Yeah, he might be filthy. No, he's been great. He texted me last week for the 300th, but he was actually my mentor at the club when I first got to the club, so he taught me a lot in the early days. But yeah, I'm not sure if he'll text me or not, but I'm sure he'll be happy anyway.
Obviously, the club has a lot of history as the Magpies and the Power do a good job to incorporate all of that. But in the 20 years now that the club's been in the national competition, what does it mean to have played sort of more games there than anyone else? Do you feel, I guess, being that you're going in as part of history at this club? And what do you feel to actually reach that milestone?
I think for me, I'm just so grateful to be a part of the footy club. It does sound like a lot of games, and when I do think of that many games, you kind of think of a veteran, but I don't feel that way at the moment. But I think I'm just super grateful to be a part of the footy club, for them to give me an opportunity to stick with me throughout 15 years and to now be still being able to play at 33s, and still really enjoying it, and the club supporting me, and I've had so much support from supporters, fans, members, everyone around the club. It's been quite a journey, and just super grateful to be a part of the footy club.
and just a boring one around the logistics. Obviously, you've been out of South Australia for a long time now. When are you getting back, and what does it look like going home?
Sorry, Ollie's just carrying on in the change rooms here. I missed a bit of that, but we actually go back tomorrow morning. I think that's what you asked. We spend the night here tonight and fly back tomorrow morning.
And you're hopeful of a showdown potentially Saturday night?
No idea what date that'll be, but yeah, hopefully Saturday night and hopefully in front of the crowd will be quite nice. But a showdown in front of no fans will be a little bit interesting. But we'll see how we go, and it'll be good to get back to Adelaide and in our own beds. And I know it's only been a couple of weeks, and a lot of sides have done a lot tougher, but it's always nice to get home.
Did you get a recommendation for the birthday cake? Have you put in any sort of pre-orders or anything for tonight?
Ooh. Well, I don't know if our dietitian, what she's got planned, but hopefully some sort of mud cake would be quite nice with a bit of cream and ice cream. I'm sure that'd be nice.
Beautiful work, Trav. Well done on the 27-point win, and good luck getting back home and taking on the Crows next week.
Appreciate it, guys. Cheers.
Travis Boak joining us from the Port Adelaide rooms, winners by 27 points over the Giants, 15-10-100 to the Giants, 11-7-73. And I know Ken Hinkley joked when he reached the 300-game milestone that he may still have quite a few still to go. So
it's always comforting coming from your coach, isn't it?
Yeah.
Got a couple more to go. Wish I had got that.
A couple more years or a couple more games? I think he's getting tagged still. He's going as well as ever, isn't he? He's
All-Australian last year.
He was, yeah.
Runner-up in the Brownlow.
He was.
Mentioned about him playing across half-forward. He sort of found himself there when they tried to find a different role for him, and it just didn't quite work. He had a shoulder injury. Yep. Would often go overseas in the off-season.
Yeah, he had some groins at one stage.
Work on different elements of his game, go to sort of a high-performance clinic to do that extra work that professional athletes do, and obviously was able to get the shoulder right and came back and found his best footy again. So well done to Travis Boak and Port Adelaide, who now have recorded their 14th win of the season. It was a good fight from the Giants this afternoon in the final term. They probably just didn't quite have the power to match it with Port Adelaide. Tim Taranto can join us from the Giants rooms. Tim, welcome. Thanks for your time. How would you sum up this afternoon's match?
Yeah, it's disappointing. We started poorly and then kind of fought back really well for the second and third quarters, and then probably just got overrun in the end. Good side. But we probably just got a few too many things wrong, which added up in the end.
Tim, it's Brendan Goddard. You must be pleased in a sense that we felt like up here in the box there was always a response when we felt like the game was maybe slipping away from you guys, that you guys found another gear, you identified the situation, the game scenario, and there was a response. You must be pleased though overall when you're able to do that.
Yeah, I think you're right. We adapted pretty well to what they threw at us across the game, probably until that last quarter. But there's some good leadership out there from some of the younger fellas too, which is good to see. But just disappointed we couldn't hang on to the end and put up a good last quarter.
Tim, bad luck. What about your own role tonight? You seem to play a lot more outside of the centre bounce than perhaps we're used to seeing. Was that just a matter of getting some others through there? We see Brent Daniels is getting a bit of a run through there. Was that just a matter of being part of the rotation and you spending some more time at half forward?
Yeah, I've been doing that the last couple of weeks. I think, just to get some different boys through there, had a bit more of a different dynamic. So, happy to play forward the last couple of weeks.
Tim, have you got any update for us on Jacob Hopper? Obviously a pretty sickening incident where he was knocked out after copping the boot of Carl Amon on the wing. Is there any word on how he is?
Yeah, I think he's off to hospital, but he's awake. I think he's responding well and looks okay. Obviously a pretty bad concussion, but he's up and awake, so he's okay. But they're just going to send him off to hospital to just check on him.
And I saw you at three-quarter time sitting on your backside with the trainers and just looked to be holding your elbow. Can you update us as to what that incident was, and I guess, are you okay physically?
Yeah, I just got a little stinger on the shoulder, but that's okay, all good.
And obviously a lot with Toby Green in quarantine isolation for a couple of weeks. What was it like to have him back out there? He couldn't quite finish his work in front of goal, but did provide a pivotal target inside the 50 in a one-on-one contest.
Yeah, no, it's good to have Toby back. Probably a little bit off his own game by his standards, but he'll get better next week and bounce back, I reckon, and kick a few more.
You're only half a game out of the 8, 3 games to go. Obviously, still, Tim, you having been there before and played, I mean, the group's had a real taste of it and they played a lot of finals. Is that still really driving this group?
Yeah, bloody oath. That 8 spot's up for grabs. Seems like no one wants to take it at the moment, so we'll just give our best next week against Geelong on Friday night, which is good. We played a Friday night game this week. I'll try and knock off the big dog, so it'll be good contest for us. I'm excited.
And how are you surviving, Tim, on the road, living out of a suitcase? Are you able to sort of keep some balance between life and footy, given we had the hub last year?
Yeah, it's been all right. It's probably been a bit more easy this year. I think they've adjusted well, the club, and a lot of boys were playing a lot of golf up in the up at Royal Pines in the Gold Coast while they're up there, so that was nice, getting a bit of sun too. And now just staying in the heart of Melbourne, which is pretty nice. So no, the boys are loving it. I think they're enjoying their company, and the partners and families are coming down next week, so it'll be good.
Have you got anyone coming to meet you?
No, not me, mate. Just hang with the boys, I think.
Yeah, you're able to reconnect. I mean, you're a Melbourne boy, obviously originally St Kevin's boy. You're able to reconnect with any of your, obviously your family first and foremost, but any of your old mates when you're down here, or is that you're just going to be stuck in the bubble? You're not allowed to mix with the.
No, yeah. When we're out of the protocols, I've been getting out and seeing all my old schoolmates, which has been unreal, and a couple of old footy mates. So I've enjoyed my time down here. I've got a lot of good catch up with some mates I haven't seen in a few years. So I've enjoyed that aspect.
Had a tough loss yesterday. This the old Skev boys.
I did that. I didn't hear about that. How'd they go?
Luke Ball just covering all avenues with you. Tim, as always, we appreciate your time. Bad luck today and good luck next week.
No, thanks, Alex.
Tim Taranto joining us from the the GWS Giants rooms. It's going to get me at some stage. It's been a long day when we started here at midday. Port Adelaide winners by 27 points, 15-10, 100 to the Giants, 11-7, 73. It's also been a long day for Ned Hall over the last week and a half. He's been keeping us across everything taking place from the Tokyo Olympic Games. Ned, come in, bring us all the latest.
I've got a bonus day tomorrow night as well with the NRL matches being played then, so I'll be on deck again. But look, there's plenty still been going on tonight, mostly centred around the athletics track and field tonight. Rowan Brown earlier on ran in his semi-final in the men's 100 metres. Valiant attempt. He came 5th in the heat, but it really did step up from the first round of competition there, so he doesn't make it through to the final, but it's really his first major international competition he's had the opportunity to get to. So I think he's done himself proud and probably put his name on the map against a few of the competitors who'll remember him for future competitions. But currently underway, Brandon Stark is in the men's high jump final, and he is in with a real live chance at the moment. A few athletes have gone over now. 10 athletes have cleared 2 metres 30, but he's one of only 5 athletes so far who have gone over first time at every attempted height so far. So the bar's moving up again now to 2 metres 33, and he is a real chance at the moment in this competition, a live chance of a medal for Brandon Stark. He couldn't cut in and add to the already very impressive medal tally from Australia today. Liz Clay, though, has just failed to make it through to the 100 metres hurdles through to the final. She came 3rd in her semi-final with a personal best of 12.71. It just wasn't quite fast enough to get through to the final. And shortly we'll see 3 men's 800 metre semi-finals with an Australian in each of them. Charlie Hunter, Peter Boll, who broke the Australian record in the first round, and Jeff Risley, all running in separate heats this evening to try and make it through to the final. And in action at the moment as well in the water are the Aussie Stingers. The women's water polo team are taking on South Africa. They're winning 8-1 at the moment in the 3rd quarter of that match, and they'll join the Spain and the Netherlands at the top of their group with 3 wins and 1 loss if they go on to tie up the victory here. I mentioned it's been a golden day for Australia. 4 gold medals across competitions, 2 more on the final day of competition in the pool. Emma McKeown's gold in the 50 metres freestyle. She backed up by being part of the women's 4x100 metre medley team that took out the gold medal. And also Logan Martin picked up a gold medal in the BMX freestyle, a gold medal in the sailing. Matt Wern, which was in the bank since Friday night, but the West Australian only had to get in the water today. He did that. He actually came 2nd in the medal race today as well, just to reinforce his lead. And it's the 3rd time last 3 Olympics that Australia has taken out the gold medal in that particular class of sailing. And also Belcher and Ryan in the men's 470 class, they're first after 8 of the 10 races, with the medal race still to come. They're in good position too to try and pick up a gold medal for Australia. The Kookaburras, they won earlier today to move through to the semi-finals of the men's hockey. They beat the Netherlands in a shootout at the end after it finished 2-2 in regular time. So 14 gold medals for Australia. That ties with the number of gold medals won at the Beijing Games, and they've only got more on 2 occasions. In Sydney in 2000 there were 16 golds, and there were 17 in Athens and 2004. So both of those marks are definitely within touching distance as well. A lot of it off the back of Emma McKeown, who's now Australia's most decorated Olympian with 11 medals through her career.
Thank you, Ned. Beautifully done. Enjoy a nice night tonight, and good work on the NRL as well, combining with the AFL. Port Adelaide winners by 27 points, still the 3-2-1 for the ABC Footballer of the Year. But the other results today, Fremantle by 4 points over the Tigers, 7-13-55 to Richmond 6-15-51. It means the Tigers dropped to 12th on the AFL ladder. Sydney by 7 points over Essendon, 17-7-109 to the Bombers, 16-6-102. Tom Papley with 4 goals. The Hawks defeated the Brisbane Lions by 12 points, 14-8-92 to the Brisbane Lions, 12-8-80. And Melbourne by 98 over the Gold Coast Suns, 18-20-128 to the Suns, 4-6-30. So I'm sure the conversation, Brendan Goddard, will be, Alistair Clarkson might still have a little bit of coaching left in him. Before I get your thoughts on the Hawks having not seen their match, let's hear from the man himself, Alistair Clarkson.
Yeah, we're obviously really pleased with our first 3 quarters, and just our young blokes ran out of pup. Brisbane started to move the ball a hell of a lot quicker because they had nothing to lose. They had to try and do something to get themselves back in the game. So they just played with a fair amount of free spirit. They're a pretty experienced side and very talented side, but they've also got strong, experienced bodies. So we just couldn't run the whole 4 quarters out. Unfortunately, we got a lot of young blokes that were just a bit tired late, but we're just so proud of their efforts in the first 3 quarters to get ourselves I think we were up by 50 points or thereabouts at 3-quarter time. So the game was won in the earlier part of the game for us, which is really pleasing. When the whips were cracking early, our boys were digging in and doing some great work against a pretty talented side. We've been in the news a fair bit in the last 3 or 4 games, and so I think the players were mindful of the fact that our club's been bashed a little bit around in the press over the last little while, and they're the first bunch of guys that can pull on the jumper and show the football world, but certainly our supporters back home, that this club's got some heart. It's always had some heart. You can't be on top of the ladder all the time. We'll find a way to get ourselves back there, but just at the minute we need to show our supporters that pulling on the brown and gold really meant something, and I hope our supporters back home enjoyed the effort of the side today, and saw some young blokes coming through and emerging for our side, and it gives us hope for the rest of this season and then moving into the future. It's been a tough period of time for our footy club, but as we've indicated during the week, we're all temporary custodians, whether you're players, coaches, administrators, board members at the club, and we all pitch in and do our best for the club when it's our turn to roll the sleeves up and help out. And it's been a great journey that I've been on at this footy club, but the time's right to pass the baton onto Mitch and allow some fresh air for the next wave and the next chapter of success at our club. And Mitch is in a good position to be able to lead that, and I think the players in the club need the fresh air to be able to do that. So if that means that the players have got more clarity around what's happening in the next little while and then into next season, then I think that's a good thing.
So the Brisbane Lions came home with a wet sail, kicking 8-1 in the final term, but Hawthorn hung on to win by 12 points with Luke Bruce kicking 3. He also picked up a knee injury. Dan McStay with 4 for the Brisbane Lions. What a week for the Hawks. I mean, well done to them today, but it says a bit about Brisbane as well. But
yeah, it does, and that's 2 weeks in a row where Brisbane just haven't shown up in the first half, or today it was the first 3 quarters, wasn't it? And then it was all too little too late. But you see this so often, don't you, when there's so much pressure at a footy club, whether it be around the coach or some kind of controversy or issue, that when it's solved and it's all out, laid bare in the open, that there's not a response, but I think the natural thing is there's a release of pressure. So they're able to go on this week. They got it over and done with earlier in the week, and they're able to travel now as a team, get on. They know what their future looks like. A lot of their players that had a bit of uncertainty were probably seeing things behind the scenes, how they're not working. So pressure valve got released, and they're able to just go out freely and play football with the microscope not clearly on them. for once, as Glyco mentioned, in the last probably 2 or 3 weeks.
I'm sure there'll be some clubs who will be making some phone calls to Alistair Clarkson. Luke Ball, where do
you start?
Collingwood stand?
Oh, I just texted him today, actually, and catch up with him tomorrow.
There's the quote.
See if anyone's still up listening.
Don't deflect it.
Bitches.
Don't deflect it. Do you know how that looks in print?
Brendan,
when you write that in print ball, it looks like you're actually doing it.
That's right, yeah. No, I won't be providing ongoing commentary, Brendan. There's my line. Say it again.
Righto. Nicely handled. We almost got through the whole broadcast without asking about it.
The last 3 minutes, he rocked in here a minute before we got on air earlier. So
didn't want to socialise with us.
Yep, no, he planned it perfectly.
Righto,
BJ.
Yeah,
I didn't spend the whole day here like you, BJ. Just
away from
did
the
a bit of parenting, yeah.
3, 2, 1 for the ABC.
One vote, Ollie Wines. I like him for the Brownlow. I think he's a really good chance. I think they're going to win 16, 17 games, Port, and he's been clearly their best player across the season. Anyway, 2 votes to Josh Kelly. I thought he was the Giants' best player, and he's having a really good year. Great to see him back. Somewhere near his best from a couple of years ago before his groins put the handbrake on him a bit. And 3 votes to Carl Amon, who is also having a breakout year, I think it's fair to say.
All-Australian year.
BJ's got him in his All-Australian team on the wing. I'm not quite sure he's at that level yet, but I'll take your point. No, I do. I'll take your point.
Who else are replacing him?
That's right.
We've got no time for debating. We're out.
We'll debate it off here. But good on him. He's having a terrific year. I think he'll be top 3 in the BNF.
Thanks to BJ. Thanks to Corby for doing the doubleheader today. To Luke Ball, to Mitch Cleary, to Stu, to Jules early in the day, and especially to Tim Verrill and Andrea Williamson, pulling together 5 games to broadcast on a Sunday with little notice. Well done to everyone who's helped bring it to you on the radio. We hope you enjoyed it today. Looking forward to round 21 of the AFL. 3 rounds to go, and then the finals are upon us.